Part 16. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 151. Half an hour ago. About 1800 hours. Hating City. Zongja District. The sun has set. There is only a shy orange red left in the sky, like the poetic feelings of a young girl in bloom. As night falls in Hating City, colorful neon lights gradually light up, as well as eye-catching holographic advertisements. I'm so damn, I'm about to die. Li Chang'e was chased by a large group of apostles for the whole afternoon. If Lao Pan hadn't been there to help him, and knocked to death a few people with high blood pressure and low blood pressure, he could finally breathe a little as night fell. The group of apostles behind him, at a rough count, there are at least 20 or 30. If it were a head-on confrontation. Li Chang'e quickly shook his head and gave up this unrealistic idea. It's like a little virgin entering Wangxiang Tower. Even if he doesn't get beaten to death for a while, he will probably be exhausted for the rest of his life. Not cost-effective. Therefore, Li Chang'e did not hesitate to choose to fight guerrilla warfare. Certainly. The more important reason why Li Chang'e could not die for a while was because the pippy shrimp that had been floating above his head not long ago disappeared without knowing when. According to Lao Pan, it should be that the skill has exceeded the time limit, or the apostle who released the tracking skill does not have enough spiritual energy to continue to maintain the skill. Zongja District is the most prosperous area in Hating City. In addition to the complex air and ground transportation routes, there are also various commercial and entertainment districts densely packed here. The crowds were huge. It means there are countless eyeliners. Ordinary citizens have no idea that Li Chang'e and Lao Pan are not just making movies now. So countless people watched, shouted, and took photos to upload to the forum. There are even many people who are vaguely looking forward to a counter-routine plot in which the two protagonists are suddenly surrounded and killed by a group of villains. Thinking about it, I can't help but feel a little excited. Etc. Maybe this kind of plot can enhance the quality of the entire movie. One or two protagonists die or something. Should we jointly give advice to the screenwriter and director of this mysterious crew on BBS? Let that bandage man who is jumping up and down and dodging to die or something. Anyway. Almost all BBS forums are doing artificial positioning of the protagonists' positions in real time. Just a slight delay. No ordinary person knows that this is actually a life and death chase. Being caught up. Maybe he really will die. If Li Chang'e was really caught by the chasing group of apostles, even if he took the initiative to confess that the box behind him was empty, it is estimated that the apostles who had been fooled all afternoon would not hesitate to compare Li Chang'e and Lao Pan was torn into pieces. The kind that can't be fought back. Just imagining that scene, Li Chang'e couldn't help but feel like his anus was tightening. The death points are not enough. Li Chang'e glanced at the panel and felt like crying. In the middle of the journey, we finally took advantage of the terrain and killed a few of the rebels, but almost all of them were secretly done by Lao Pan. The death points earned had nothing to do with Li Chang'e. This is very uncomfortable. He really wanted to yell at Old Pan, you will lose me if you do this. Only. Li Chang'e felt depressed. He didn't expect that Lao Pan was actually even more depressed. Why did Pan Xiaozhen work so tirelessly and joyfully to grab people's heads during this chase? Is it love? Is it possessiveness? Is it some kind of special hobby? In fact, it is neither. Pan Xiaozhen has been in a state of confusion since returning from his trip to Gotham City. Inexplicably, he changed from small size to large size, and inexplicably found himself in a state where he was still an apostle, but unable to use the apostle function normally. This made Lao Pan feel very uncomfortable. It's like a certain special scene. You can't enter it if you want to, and you can't get out of it if you want to. It's really painful tossing and turning. So when faced with the apostles who were attracted by the box, Lao Pan also seized the opportunity, hitting the stick from time to time, knocking the stick west, and harvested several heads. I originally thought that the killing among the apostles might be able to reactivate the apostle panel. But, unfortunately, whether it is the death point that Lao Pan deserves, or the joyful process of touching the box, it has nothing to do with the current Lao Pan. Lao Pan actually wanted to say, "It's so hard for me." Only, because of his face, Lao Pan didn't show it. He continued to silently wave the thick stick in his hand, venting the anger in his heart to those heads. Li Changa had just hid in the path between high-rise buildings to take a few breaths, but he didn't expect that after just a few minutes of rest, many melon-eating people discovered them with excited faces and took crazy pictures of them, followed by a wave of little hands. I shook my head and uploaded it to the forum. Escape like this is not an option. Li Changa almost burst into tears. After running all afternoon, he was now so tired that he couldn't even get excited. The special effects all over his body were like wilted eggplants. They popped out a little from time to time, but they had already lost their initial brilliance. If you continue like this, it will be difficult to get emotionally high. Just when Li Changa and Lao Pan were about to escape again. Just when Li Changa couldn't hold on any longer, he was extremely hesitant to throw away the box behind him. The death mark imprinted on Li Changa's buttocks shook slightly. Although the vibration was slight, it made Li Changa, who was nervous, so scared that his anus tightened, and a mini chrysanthemum flashed behind him. Information. Li Changa opened the communication panel as quickly as possible and took a look. After a few seconds, Li Changa almost cried, Boss. If you do this, you will lose this loyal leg pendant of mine. Yilin, haha, I guess you haven't earned enough death points yet? You should have given them all away to Lao Pan, right? Li Changa, Yilin ignored Li Changa's realistic crying voice and said lightly, when you really can't hold on and are about to die, Lao Pan will give you a tip bag to save your life. Finished. Yilin immediately interrupted the call. Li Changa cried desperately again. Unexpectedly, Yilin had expected that Li Changa would continue to talk nonsense, and decisively set Li Changa to Do Not Disturb mode. Tips. Damn it. Do you think this is really a movie? Do you want me to stage a counterattack with residual blood? Boss, that's just a movie script. Etc. Li Changa cried in his heart for a while, then suddenly turned his head with bright eyes. Old Pan, where is the kid? Pan Xiaozheng's face was expressionless under his mask. Let's talk about it when you are about to die. Li Changa. Suddenly, while Li Changa was in a daze and Lao Pan was slapping his stick, a soft shout came from the end of the alley. This soft drink was as shy as a whisper in a lover's ear. Go. Pippy shrimp. Call out. In an instant. As soon as he finished speaking, from the direction of the source of the sound, a small and plump shrimp, like a bullet, jumped in the air in a graceful arc and flew directly to Li Changa's head. It seemed that when it reached the sky above Li Changa's head, it gracefully rotated 360 degrees. Why is it Pippy shrimp again? Li Changa had already experienced it, and now he knew what happened when he saw this Pippy shrimp. Another tracking skill. After hiding for a long time, I didn't expect to be pestered by Pippy shrimp again. Want to leave? In the dark night. The end of the alley. A large group of apostles, their heads moving. In their hands, they held various weapons or magic weapons. There are knives, swords, hammers, spears, thermal weapons, shovels, toilet seats, shields, short, curved sticks. In short, there are all kinds of strange things. But Li Changa didn't dare to underestimate those weird-looking props. Even a delicious-looking shrimp can follow Li Changa for dozens of streets. In the world of apostles, What else is impossible? Everything is possible. As long as you are the European emperor, you can pull out any weird props and equipment. Uhuang has it all. Superior. Apostles of all kinds rushed into the alley. However, judging from the speed at which they ran, the agility attribute should not be too high, otherwise a strong person on the agility side would be able to cross over to Li Chang'e in the blink of an eye. Lao Pan was silent. Suddenly take a step forward. Back off. Before Li Chang'e could react, Lao Pan stepped forward, kicked backwards, and kicked the confused Li Chang'e away. Boom. Li Chang'e just had time to land safely on his butt. When he raised his head, he happened to see Lao Pan's messy hair and windy back. Facing a large group of crazy apostles who looked like wolf dogs, he raised the bumpy baseball bat in his hand high. Lao Pan did not hesitate, nor was he so aggressive as to wait for the opportunity for the people on the opposite side to release their skills and throw out props, and directly smashed the Harley Quinn's best friend in his hand to the ground. Although Pan Xiaozheng has been useless. But he didn't forget. Harley Quinn's best friend also comes with a special effect. I don't know if it's because Harley Quinn in Gotham City used to play more intensely, but the special effects attached to the stick are very intriguing. Boom. The moment Lao Pan slammed the stick in his hand on the ground. Centered on the point where the stick landed, a crack as thick as an arm spread all the way into the distance. With a rumble, everyone looked at the crack that was winding quickly in horror. They were so frightened that they stopped and stepped back. However, the alley was too narrow and there were too many people. Wave after wave, wave after wave. Before the apostle running at the front of the team had time to exit, another group of apostles squeezed in from behind. The scene was extremely chaotic. The crack grew bigger and bigger, and when it finally reached the apostle's feet, it was far wider than a person standing there. It was more than enough for a person to fall in and not be able to get up. After Lao Pan threw such a heroic blow, he didn't hold back any longer. He directly picked up Li Chang'e, turned around and ran away. The apostle who was squeezed to the front tried his best to spread his legs, almost splitting into a horse. Someone looked at the terrifying and deep crack in the ground under his crotch, his legs were shaking with fear, and he couldn't say a word. This is something that humans can do? Isn't it too cruel? Far away. Li Chang'e was also stunned by this scene. He let Lao Pan pull his clothes and run ahead, without reacting for a long time. Old Pan, you have such a magical weapon and you still need to run? What the hell? Pan Xiaozheng. Lao Pan continued to run without looking back. And in the alley. After Lao Pan swung the stick like a god descending from the earth. The entire alley was so frightened by the scary crack that they dared not move. But just half a minute later, the terrifying crack, which was large enough for several people to fall vertically, strangely, and slowly closed again, leaving only a small ditch visible to the naked eye. A group of apostles simultaneously put out question marks. If the question marks had special effects, I believe they would be as dense as the stars in the sky at night. Another 10 seconds passed. Finally someone reacted. Damn. That was an illusion. We were all deceived. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 152. Hallucination. Fake, all fake. So that terrifying scene of the ground opening into an abyss was just an illusion? In the blink of an eye, the endless ravine turned into a small, lifelike seam? All the apostles who were scared to death looked at each other. Fortunately, they all wore masks on their faces, otherwise everyone's face would be burning, as if they had been given a mouthful of malatang, which was extremely uncomfortable. This man is so embarrassed. After an awkward silence, suddenly someone asked in a low voice, "Are we still chasing?" There was another few seconds of silence. Shark them. Kill. In an instant, the crowd was full of emotions, and they all expressed their intention to cut those two guys into pieces to satisfy their hatred. But someone else asked weakly, but what should Zhang Huishun do if we can't complete the task? Among the apostles who were chasing Li Chang'e and Lao Pan, in addition to the numerous first-level apostles, there were also second-level apostles who had taken on real-life tasks. Now that he suddenly came back to his senses, he realized that that one was like the countdown hung above my head like the sword of Lemos, and there was not much time left. Hee, luckily I'm still just a bitch dash. Let's go. Damn it, I still don't believe it. After killing the two of them, Zhang Huishun still doesn't show up. That's right. Even if we don't kill, someone else will. Besides, I'm almost at the point of death. Killing those two Japanese dogs might be enough. Kill, kill, kill. In the crowd, someone didn't know who fanned a few words. In an instant, other people agreed. But everyone is wearing a mask, and no one can see through the inner fluctuations of others just through the holes in their eyes. Some are enthusiastic, some are worried, some are happy, some are indifferent, some are sad. Kick, kick, kick. A group of people carried various weapons, crossed the small ditch, and crossed the alley. At the same time, they opened the BBS to check the latest locations of the bandaged man and the clown. It's time like this. Whether they still have the box or not. No matter if they took off their masks partway through. As long as they have pippy shrimps on their foreheads. There is absolutely no way to escape the perception of someone among the apostles. They, all must die. A group of apostles crossed the alley. Perhaps no one noticed that after the apostle team walked out of the alley, several corpses in different forms of death were left where they were. If someone has sharp eyes, he might be able to identify among the corpses. One of them is the one who shouted "Fortunately I am a man" not long ago, and he didn't even have time to finish the last word. A few minutes later, many people who eat melon discovered something strange in the alley. Several corpses are not alone at all, they are lying in the alley in close company. You look at me, I look at you, as if you are down there. Everyone can talk to each other and have a good drink. Another moment passed. There seemed to be a shout of "Ka" coming from all around. Soon, a group of professional crew and off-site personnel quietly appeared from different places. Several bodies were carried away without a word. It was chilly in the alley. The wind blows. It was as if nothing had ever happened. Soon. There are a few more posts on the Hating City BBS. Shock. Several more dedicated actors playing corpse were discovered in XX Alley. Facing the camera that I don't know where to hide, he remained motionless, with a similarity of 99% to the real corpse. Why does it look like dead? Is there something wrong upstairs? In this day and age, who dares to commit murder on the street, don't want to die? The crew is awesome, so lifelike that it's hard to tell the real thing from the fake one. Looking forward to the release. Many posts quickly disappeared. No one knows. A little kid licking ice cream, hiding somewhere, operating frantically in the dark, clicking here, flicking there, posts floating up and down. Some posts had just popped up, and were blocked by a pair of hidden fingers. Pressed down. No trouble. He, it's almost time to do that, suck. The other end. Li Erpang's hands were covered with meat residue. And blood. Li Erpang felt his hands were sticky, similar to the feeling he had after exercising. Although the feeling in the palm of the hand is similar, the feeling in the heart is completely different. One is so tired that I feel exhausted, and the other is so nauseous that I feel like vomiting. Not the same concept at all. Beside him. All over Suzayasu, the clothes were in tatters, but the strange thing was that the clothes were not seen by ghosts. Although they were badly damaged, they still covered what should be covered, and what should not be leaked was not leaked, as if there was someone in the dark. A kind of power controls this harmonious scene. Suzayasu's body was covered with many knife marks and bullet holes. When Suzayasu ran and punched, blood would be squeezed out from the wounds of various shapes from time to time. But he was quickly pushed back by the steel-like muscles all over his body. The blood consumption is actually not large. In Suzayasu's own words, "It doesn't matter, the health bar is quite long." Li Erpang glanced quietly. Swallowed. There is no other reason. Just because the muscles are so strong that Li Erpang is a little scared. And it is undeniable that as a teammate, Suzayasu really makes people feel extremely reassuring. However, on the other hand, a feeling called anger gradually arose in Li Erpang's heart. For a while, he himself didn't figure out why he was angry. Because of love? Li Erpang, I love your sister. He suddenly loudly rejected the idea that popped up in his heart for no reason. Suzayasu lowered his head and glanced at the round Li Erpang. This sudden shout made Brother Su couldn't help but slowly type a question mark. Fat Rabbit and his wife had similar experiences to Li Chang'e and Lao Pan. No matter where they ran, they were chased, watched, and targeted by countless citizens. They couldn't rest for long before another group of apostles suddenly appeared from nowhere. And then staged a life and death chase on the streets. Wherever he passed, there were scattered corpses left behind. Li Erpang occasionally turned around and saw the corpse forgotten behind the crowd, and couldn't help but feel a sinking feeling in his heart. He was sure most of the corpses left on the ground were not killed by him. Being beaten by a group of apostles, it was enough to be able to break out of the siege without resorting to the trump card. Li Erpang was not a descendant of the canopy, so how could he ride 1,000 horses with one horse? Moreover, he knew very well that the most difficult thing about apostles was that in addition to their extraordinary attributes, they also had a variety of weird skills and props that were hard to guard against. Not long ago, half an hour ago, after Fatty Li accidentally uttered a curse word, a strange condom was put on his head for no apparent reason, causing the fat man's eyesight to go dark and he couldn't tell the difference between east, west, and north. If Suzayasu hadn't saved him from the barrage of fire, perhaps Li Erpang's fat body would have been cut into fine pork belly on the spot. Has the mess started already? The fat man quickly figured out what was going on. This group of apostles who seemed to be very stupid were not all stupid. There were quite a few second-level apostles mixed in with the stupid, pretending to be stupid and cutting leaks. They had not originally focused all their attention on the box behind Li Erpang and Suzayasu. For the apostles, what was more important was staying alive. If you can't even survive, even if you get the legendary spirit-possessed weapon, what's the use? Only those first-level apostles who had just become apostles and possessed some supernatural powers became hot-headed after learning about the existence of spirit-possessed weapons and bit Li Erpang and others. As everyone knows, there are many second-level apostles who have sneaked into the hunting army, but they are secretly plotting the evil. In the chaos, one or two more bodies would appear on the ground from time to time, and no one would notice them at all. This practical mission is actually not difficult to solve. Since Zhang Huishun can't hide, he can get enough death points to avoid the fate of being wiped out. This was also an insurance policy that Yilin allowed them to complete smoothly. Now, in the chaotic fighting, the death points of Li Erpang and Suzayasu have almost exceeded the 10,000 point mark. In addition to gaining death points, Li Erpang also picked up a rubbish skill that was of little use and worth mentioning, as well as a bunch of messy props. These props. Because he was in such a hurry when escaping, Li Erpang could only take a few quick glances. But just those few glances were enough to make Fat Li Er's scalp tingle slightly. Although some of the props extracted from these low-level apostles have no lethality, their effects are extremely fatal. Even Li Erpang has to admire the imagination of these props. Are you going to throw away the box behind you? Li Erpang was a little hesitant. After all, now he and his wife, Even if he and Suzayasu were unable to find and kill Zhang Huishun in the end, as long as they escaped this wave, they could throw away the box, take off their masks, and hide in the vast sea of people. I believe no one would recognize them. Yulin, are you sure? Suzayasu, are you sure? Fat Dad, are you sure? Hating City, are you sure? This is undoubtedly the safest approach. But it seemed a bit reluctant to cut off the death spots that had been saved so hard. Just like when he burned all the fat in Gotham City, even though he was so handsome that his father almost didn't recognize him and kicked him out of the house when he returned to the real world, Fatty Lee still cried and ate too much, and cried sadly for 3 whole days. 3 days and 3 nights. Once you have been rich, it is difficult to accept poverty. Once you gain weight, you don't want to lose weight anymore. Or, play it safe, your life is at stake. Li Erpang squinted his eyes and hesitated. Not far away. As the melon-eating crowd watched and shouted, the apostle army gradually approached. Before this, Li Erpang had never imagined that such a large number of apostles could be gathered in such a large hating city. Just when Li Erpang hesitated, the death mark shook slightly. A message from Yilin was sent. I know you have probably accumulated 10,000 death points, but are you interested in completing the mission? Li Erpang was slightly startled. But he replied quickly. How sure are you? 80%. The remaining 20% is. Yilin smiled slightly, the remaining 10% is with you, and I am sure of the last 10%, it's hard to say. Li Erpang's expression was uncertain. But he didn't hesitate for long. After all, there were people lining up on the opposite side, pulling a long queue to chase Li Erpang. 5 seconds later. Li Erpang gritted his teeth, his eyes almost narrowed into a thin line. It's done. Yilin has already figured out the character of Li Erpang based on her partial understanding of him in the future and her contacts in Gotham City. Therefore, Yilin was not surprised by Li Erpang's decision. 30 seconds later. Li Erpang couldn't help shouting. Suzayasu's face was expressionless, and she lowered her head and glanced at the round little fat man at her feet. Sister Su, do you still have that fattening pill? Li Erpang said this with a shy face. Hating City. Another corner. A girl with a sword wearing a ghost face. Covered in blood. I don't know whose blood it is. There was no box behind her anymore. She silently raised her head and looked into the night sky. The direction of the tower shrouded in countless colorful beams of light. The landmark Goddess Tower in Hating City. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 153. Among the crowds of people who seem to be madly chasing the fat rabbit couple, there are innocent people who sneak in to join in the fun. There is a pretty female reporter who carries a camera and wants to make her debut in the media. There are also second-level apostles who silently attack their companions when no one is aware of them. There are also passionate first-order apostles who really dream of spirit-possessed weapons and dream of becoming stronger overnight and crushing everything. Everyone. He lowered his head and silently chased the 2 rabbits in front of him, one fat and one strong. Sudden. Fat rabbit suddenly turned around. This inexplicable braking caused a large group of people to chase the fat man dozens of meters away, causing a series of accidents involving people hitting each other. In the accident, almost no one noticed, and several more people fell silently and became cold corpses. No one noticed that all those who suddenly fell to the ground were excellent actors wearing masks. Everyone's attention was focused on the fat rabbit. I'm going to hum you, uncle. Li Erpang suddenly roared with a cry in his voice. But wearing a cute mask, her crying voice actually looks a bit cute. Of course, this must be an illusion. In short, at the moment when the fat man burst out crying, many people could not help but conjure up a tragic picture of a fat man with tears streaming down his face. My wife is so miserable. Li Erpang cried for a while. A little while. Then he silently swallowed his tears, gently stroked his protruding belly, and said goodbye softly in a sad tone. Goodbye, old friend. Suzayasu. Crowd. Hating city. Yulin, huh. After Li Erpang silently said goodbye to his body of fat, he took a deep breath. Immediately afterwards, Li Erpang yelled, I'm going to use my ultimate move. Innocent people, run away. Don't let me hurt innocent people. Li Erpang looked at the other side and seemed to have little reaction. After thinking about it, he changed his words, you guys are blocking the camera of Fatty. This time, the innocent people watching the excitement and the pretty female reporters left the apostles one after another with confusion and reluctance. This is quite obedient. Well, the folk customs are simple and orderly, comparable to Gotham City. After all the ordinary people left, it seemed that the scene had reached another climax. Many people were full of expectations and took out their mobile phones to take pictures. Li Erpang smiled coldly and looked back. Let it burn. Fat. Li Erpang's fat body shrank rapidly in the blink of an eye, and his streamlined muscles like a cheetah were displayed in front of everyone without reservation. Acridine. The crowd suddenly erupted into waves of shy screams. Suzayasu clenched her fists silently. Now, it's my turn to perform. Li Erpang raised his head and looked at the iconic building, the goddess tower shrouded in countless seven-color beams of light. His body was like a cannonball, crashing directly into the apostles. Boom. One step down. The ground is shaking. For a moment, everyone had the illusion that the ground had been dug up by an excavator. It was also like a huge creature falling from the sky to the ground. Mercilessly ravage this innocent city. I'm fat. I am the stronger version of Li Erpang. Li Erpang had an endless roar in his heart, and his fleshy palms flashed with golden light. The pair of fleshy palms suddenly slapped the apostle closest to him with the sound of Kai Sing wind and the lingering sound of simple chanting. Snapped. With one palm strike, the neck of the first order apostle, who had not had time to react, was struck at a right angle and bent strangely toward his back. Go, go, go. Attack. Oh no, it's the opposite, burn it. Fat. Let it burn. Li Erpang. Woohoo. I promised not to cry. Yulin saw that Li Erpang had already launched his ultimate move and advanced like a tank, then silently harvested two more heads. After a lottery that was so painful that Yulin didn't want to mention it, Yulin finally accumulated more than 10,000 death points. In this way, regardless of whether he could complete the mission and kill Zhang Huishun in the end, Yulin he had earned enough penalty points to avoid the tragic fate of being wiped out. Very safe. As for the chaos value, it also exceeded the 30,000 mark again. We are one step closer to reactivating the chaos value of Apocalypse motorcycle. Yulin began to look forward to what kind of changes this mount, which was completely different from other Apocalypse Knights, would bring to him. Recalling the posture of the Apocalypse Knight, Yulin couldn't help but have a hint of gloom in his eyes. But that hint of haze went away just as quickly as it came. There is still a lot of time before all that happens, so it is useless to worry too much now. The only way to go is to work step by step, enhance your own strength as soon as possible, and find ways to speed up Molly's research progress. I don't know if Ling Yi's side is safe. Yulin suddenly remembered the familiar face in her memory and took a deep breath. No one in this world can understand Yulin's fear and awe for the future. That is the despair that can only be deeply understood after experiencing that doomsday. Everything Yulin has experienced now has completely deviated from the original trajectory. It is also difficult for him to predict in what direction the future of this timeline will change. If at that time, I could be stronger. Yilin chuckled. Quickly throw away all distracting thoughts. He rushed to Zhongji district as quickly as possible. At the place agreed with Zhao Yulong, Yilin met Angela and Zhao Yulong, who were having a happy chat. Yilin silently lifted the shadow-like state, and then spoke calmly. Problem occurs. The time is now. 1830. When the lanterns first come on. When Zhao Yulong saw Yilin suddenly appearing behind them, his expression immediately returned to normal. That is, the kind with a natural sense of vulgarity in his laughter. There is no sense of violation and... Damn it! When did your kid get here? Huh? Have you just arrived? Yilin looked as usual and did not continue arguing with Zhao Yulong. Her expression became solemn. It's not good. Angela. Zhao Yulong. Yilin took out her mobile phone, opened the page of Hating City BBS, and handed the mobile phone to Zhao Yulong. See for yourself. It doesn't matter if you don't look at it. Zhao Yulong's pupils shrank slightly when he looked at it. Then he couldn't help but said, what the hell? Well, it seems that Zhao Yulong has no culture either. You can travel all over the world with just one word. I saw that on the Hating City BBS forum. I don't know when a bunch of new posts occupied the hot post position. Western District. It was shocking to see the fat rabbit couple being attacked by a large group of villains. Judging from the plot, the fat rabbit couple were covered in blood and killed everyone. The plot is awesome. Inspiring. By the way, the special effects and makeup techniques are so realistic. It's hard to distinguish between true and false. Pudong District. The bandage man and the clown were bloody on the street. The clown was stabbed to death on suspicion of death. The way of death was so professional that I would call the clown the best at pretending to be dead. It makes people wonder if they are not making a movie at all. But unfortunately, this is really just a movie shooting scene. Thumbs up for the professional actors who received the lunch boxes. Bandage Man is like the god of running. He runs very fast and does not die in the chaos. Pity. Zhongji District. The ghost-faced Taishao girl suspected of encountering unspoken rules and encountered an army of 50 people on the street. Damn, heartless. Director, we strongly request to change the script. Such a popular character shouldn't receive a lunchbox in advance. Protest. Protest. We demand that the script be changed. Otherwise, we will definitely not contribute to the box office. The other side. While Zhao Yulong looked at his phone with a gloomy expression, Angela also took out her mobile phone and logged into the Hating City BBS forum. Check out the latest hot posts and stay silent. With that slightly changed expression, no one knew what Angela was thinking. Below these popular posts, there are countless replies, but the contents are all similar. It seems that the entire Hating City has been conquered by this awesome and mysterious crew in just one night, and has become a big fan of these characters. But to be honest, if this movie can really be made, no matter in every aspect, it can completely crush all kinds of shoddy commercial films on the market that use star power. It's really like wearing a mask and beating all kinds of little meat. Well done, Mr. Mask. It's no wonder that the citizens who personally observed the filming scene were in such high spirits. Li Chang'e. Zhao Yulong returned the phone to Yilin. There was a touch of sadness in Yilin's eyes. Old Pan is dead. Zhao Yulong, yes. A moment of silence. Yilin lowered his head and remained silent. Depend on. Zhao Yulong suddenly cursed fiercely. Ziwan District? Pudong District? Why the hell are those guys traveling so far away? Is it convenient for them to die? Yilin shook her head helplessly. I guess I'm being chased. What can I do? Zhao Yulong suddenly glared at Yilin fiercely. In an instant, the surrounding atmosphere suddenly became heavy. No. It's not an illusion. Yulin and Angela discovered at the same time that there seemed to be an invisible force suddenly falling on their shoulders. In an instant, their entire bodies became extremely heavy, and it became extremely difficult to even take steps. But that heavy feeling came and went quickly. In just a moment, Zhao Yulong closed his eyes. After thinking for a moment, Zhao Yulong reopened his eyes with an extremely calm expression. You said that this plan will definitely lead to Zhang Huishan. Who is Zhang Huishan? Yilin smiled bitterly. I originally thought that Zhang Huishan should be the same as us, with the same time-limited tasks. There are less than 5 hours left. Although many people have died, if not you guessed it wrong, Zhang Huishan will definitely appear in the next time. Furthermore, Zhang Huishan's mission, if I'm not mistaken, should be the same as her actions. It should be to hunt down apostles. As for how many to kill, I can't guess that. After all, I don't know how to do it. It's not Zhang Huishan. Sudden. Angela, who had been browsing the BBS, sounded slightly startled. Look at the forum. A brand new post appeared on the Hating City BBS forum. Director, we want to collectively send you blades. Miss Ghostface actually turned into a one-armed god. Who the hell designed this bloody and cruel plot? I want to wish his family happiness and health. Miss Ghostface seems to be the real protagonist. Can you still kill a bunch of people after having your arm cut off? Is this plot a cheat? Protagonist Halo? Probably not. Miss Ghostface climbed up to the goddess tower. Damn it! The corpse on the ground is so realistic. Wait, it doesn't move. Is it a prop? It's probably the final act. Below this post. It also comes with an extremely realistic photo. Under the goddess tower. A long and narrow ancient sword was inserted into the ground. There is also a broken arm at the handle of the knife, holding the handle tightly. At the same time. No one found it? An armed helicopter quickly flew into the sky above Hating City from outside Hating City. The colorful and bright neon lights in the sky above Hating City, the beams of light, only reflected a little brilliance when they illuminated the helicopter, as if all the light was absorbed by the armed helicopter. At first glance, the armed helicopter seemed to blend into the night. And the sound of propellers flapping from time to time was almost covered up by the noisy sound of Hating City. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 154. Three heads come together. Yilin, Zhao Yulong, and Angela gathered around to watch the unusually realistic photo of a severed hand on BBS. There was silence for a while. Angela suddenly discovered that Zhao Yulong was very close to her at some point, almost face to face. Angela's face was expressionless for a moment. She moved her delicate face away, quietly took out a wet tissue and wiped it vigorously on her face, and rubbed off a layer of powder. Ah, what a pity. Zhao Yulong looked away from Angela's phone as if nothing happened. There was just a hint of regret in his tone. It seems that even if my Oda is not cold, she has already stepped on the other side of the Nahi Bridge. Etc. Yilin's face changed slightly. She's not dead yet, and Oda Mai's profile picture is still bright in my friend list. He Zhao Yulong suddenly laughed. You want to save her? A hero saves a beauty? This is a pretty good move. Yilin was speechless for a moment after hearing this, but then quickly continued, don't you find it strange why Zhang Huishan hasn't shown up yet? It's strange, aren't we waiting? With so many apostles gathered together, she can't help but take action. Zhao Yulong said matter-of-factly. But suddenly, Zhao Yulong seemed to have remembered something, and his eyes suddenly widened. Wait, you mean? Yilin nodded. Now is the time when Zhang Huishan can't hold it in any longer. Zhao Yulong's expression darkened. Are you sure? Yilin raised her head and looked at the brightest tower in the night sky in Hating City, her tone of voice uncertain. The world is never 100% sure. I was just thinking that if I were Zhang Huishun, with the current chaotic situation in the entire hating city, I would definitely find a way to attack Oda Mai. After all, judging from Zhang Huishun's behavior all the way, he looks like a calm old man. It is safest to choose to attack the second-level Apostle Mai Oda, whose identity has been exposed and is also seriously injured. I am just comparing my feelings. Just thinking. Huh? Could it be that you are also an old Yinbi? Yulin. Zhao Yulong waved his hand. Let's go. Angela was silent for a moment. She was silent from beginning to end and finally couldn't help but ask, where to go? Do you still need to say it? Old Zhao smiled coldly. Go to the goddess tower and block those old ladies. Angela. Yulin. Zhao Yulong suddenly remembered something. He quickly issued a series of instructions on his cell phone. The general meaning is to block the surrounding environment of the goddess tower as quickly as possible, including blocking relevant traffic arteries. A few minutes later, Zhao Yulong finished the job in seconds. He stretched out his hands to Yulin and Angela respectively. Hold my hand, there is no time to explain. Get in the car quickly. Yulin. Angela. Yulin already knew Zhao Yulong's ability. After locating the location of the goddess tower in her mind, she understood the meaning of Zhao Yulong's move. Just this sentence, why does it taste worse the more you taste it? Angela hesitated for a few seconds. His eyes flickered. But he seemed to have finally made up his mind and slowly extended his hand to Zhao Yulong. Snapped. But he didn't expect that Zhao Yulong moved faster than Angela, as fast as lightning, as fast as a roller coaster. He directly grabbed Angela's white palm with one hand, squeezed it tightly, and rubbed it a few times. Angela's whole body stiffened suddenly. After a few seconds, he slowly softened again, rolled his eyes at Zhao Yulong, and did not dare to say anything more. Yulin lowered her head. Neither Zhao Yulong nor Angela noticed that, just when Zhao Yulong was taking advantage in a reasonable and above-board manner, Yulin quickly shook out a card from his other hand, but after hesitating for a second, Yulin silently took the card back. Bringing two people into the car is a bit expensive. The corner of Zhao Yulong's mouth twitched slightly, but he was complaining. Oda Wu's life and death were uncertain, and Zhang Huishun could appear at any time. Although his spiritual energy was consumed a lot, Zhao Yulong couldn't care less at the moment. Skill, activate. Abruptly. Yulin and Angela both felt at the same time that the gravity on their bodies seemed to have disappeared, and they felt as if they could rise to the sky with a slight jump. Drive. Zhao Yulong rubbed Angela's shy little palm, cheered with joy, and pulled Yulin and Angela to run quickly in the direction of the goddess tower. It turns out that Zhao Yulong's abilities have been developed to this extent by this time. Yulin looked calm on the surface, but she was slightly shocked in her heart. At this time, Zhao Yulong used his expression and actions to profoundly explain what it meant to be so happy that he was about to fly. He took a step forward and actually walked several meters away. And Yulin also felt as if she was in a weightless state, being pulled by Zhao Yulong and leaning in mid-air. If he hadn't known about Zhao Yulong's ability in advance, Yulin, who was happily flying the kite by Zhao Yulong at this moment, would probably have been completely confused. Zhao Yulong's speed is getting faster and faster. The speed of the car reached the extreme. In the dark night, Zhao Yulong's figure completely violated the laws of physics, jumping almost to the sky. The whistling wind blew over Yulin and the two of them, stinging their skin. Rather than saying that the two of them were hitching a ride on Zhao Yulong's car, it would be better to say that Zhao Yulong dragged the two paper figures to drive on their own and go their own way. Yulin felt the changes in his body. He knew that under the influence of Zhao Yulong's ability, his and Angela's own gravity was offset, so they fell into the state of weightlessness. As everyone knows, the straight line between 2 points is the shortest. Lao Zhao seemed to understand this most basic mathematical theorem and ran straight to the goddess tower without hesitation. When encountering a low building, Lao Zhao led the two of them directly onto the wall and stepped over it. Fly over the eaves and walk over the wall. Bungee jumping. Repeatedly jumped horizontally. The way Lao Zhao moves is really something that ordinary people can't learn. With nothing to do, Yilin silently speculated on Zhao Yulong's current attributes, and trying to simulate various ways to fight Zhao Yulong in his mind. Not long after, the old driver Zhao Yulong drove this strange car, driving freely between high-rise buildings, and the goddess tower was right in front of him. Although Yilin remained silent along the way, she kept observing Zhao Yulong and Angela. Angela didn't have much to say, her face was tense and expressionless, and she didn't know if it was because of Zhao Yulong's gushing little moves. A layer of dense sweat had formed on Zhao Yulong's forehead. Based on Yilin's own experience, this should be a normal physiological reaction caused by too much spiritual energy consumption in a short period of time. Obviously, taking Yilin and the two of them into the car took a lot of effort for Zhao Yulong. Arrive. Zhao Yulong, who had been squinting his eyes slightly and enjoying silently, suddenly darkened his face and led the two of them to the ground from a height. Zhao Yulong quickly let go of Yilin's hand and shook it several times with a look of disgust. Yilin. After letting go of Zhao Yulong's hand, Yilin's sense of weightlessness suddenly disappeared, and she was pulled by Zhao Yulong to float in the air for a long time. This stopped at every turn, which actually made Yilin feel a little uncomfortable. Near the goddess tower. Empty. The streets of Nyeda, except for the colorful neon lights that reflected the sky, were completely empty, which seemed a bit strange. Yilin looked around. Zhao Yulong chuckled and explained, "Don't underestimate the energy of the special group." Around the goddess tower, at a glance, there were densely packed corpses lying on the ground. All the corpses were wearing various strange masks on their faces, and the faces of the deceased could not be seen clearly. Around the corpse, the blood has not yet dried up, and the colorful neon lights in the sky reflect a strange shimmer on the blood. This horrifying and realistic scene can't help but make people's scalp numb, as if they have arrived in hell. Among the corpses, a sword was stuck in the ground alone, and a blood-stained arm still held the handle tightly, as if to tell the deceased's obsession with the sword during his lifetime. All three fell silent. The mood is a bit heavy. Suddenly, it was Angela who broke the strange silence. "How long do you want to hold my hand?" Yilin. Zhao Yulong chuckled, but without the slightest embarrassment, he reluctantly let go of Angela's little palm. I'm sorry, I was scared by the corpse, he. How the hell can you still be scared by such a small scene?" Yilin was speechless. "But it's not broken either." Angela took out a slender cigarette from her body, lit it, took a deep breath, and frowned quickly but without trace. Zhao Yulong walked towards the entrance of the goddess tower. When he reached the entrance, he paused slightly and asked with some uncertainty, "Are you sure Zhang Huishan is up there?" Yilin smiled slightly as he walked and said, "I have told you before that Zhang Huishan must have a mission similar to ours. We and Zhang Huishan are opposite parties in this real mission. As for Zhang Huishan, there are only two possibilities for him to be able to resist taking action when the apostles gather tonight. First, Zhang Huishan has completed his mission, which is similar to killing enough apostles. But if I think about it carefully, this speculation is unlikely. According to the nature of the tower, we are two opposing parties in the mission. Since Zhang Huishan has completed the mission, it means that the other party, that is, my mission has failed, and should have received the news long ago. It's the message that the mission failed." Yilin lowered his head, silently sent a few messages on the apostles' communication panel, and then continued to say calmly, "As for the second possibility, even though Zhang Huishan has not completed the mission, it is still almost the same. Maybe there is only one head difference." That's why she was not in a hurry and could even endure it until the last moment before taking action. When she is 100% sure. So, in the entire Hating City, only Otamai's location is clearest, and she was seriously injured. If I were Zhang Huishun, I would also choose to attack Otamai at this time. And I just took a look and Otamai's profile picture was still on, which means. After hearing Yilin's analysis, Zhao Yulong suddenly understood. He showed an expression as if Mr. Zhao had seen through everything, and smiled. In other words, Zhang Huishun has not had time to come over. Yilin smiled slightly. Of course, if Zhang Huishun can bear it, I have nothing to say. He. Old Zhao rubbed his palms excitedly and said with murderous intent, we just need to wait for Zhang Huishun to come to the door by himself? Why the hell did you bring me so much trouble? I have to make you understand today. Why is Ant so red? Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 155. Lao Zhao is in front. Angela is in the middle. Yilin is behind. Yilin and Angela casually observed the corpses around them. Yilin suddenly laughed. In addition to the knife wounds of Otamai, these people also have many inexplicable wounds. It seems that the time is getting closer and closer, and many people can't help but feel sorry for their companions. Take action. Fart's companion. Zhao Yulong curled his lips, but with a bit of emotion. Lao Zhao was not surprised by Yilin's observation. Normally, apostles are all like this. The greater the ability, the more sinister. To be honest, no matter who we are, as long as we become an apostle, in the end you are destined not to be a pure white lotus, you are forced by life. Angela actually nodded in agreement. Yilin. After all, if you are too pure and white, you are destined to have a hard time living long. The three of them chatted and soon arrived at the elevator. Elevator. Yilin glanced at Lao Zhao, are you going to die? Zhao Yulong panted slightly, glared at Yilin fiercely, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and growled in a low voice, you're so damn bad. I'm very good. Very good. Can't we save some energy to deal with that old lady Zhang Huishun? He. Yilin smiled but said nothing. Anji Lan suddenly asked worriedly, it's just, can the three of us deal with Zhang Huishun? Zhao Yulong was full of confidence and directly pressed the elevator button. He said while pressing, I don't believe that old woman can change the world. I have already investigated and found that most of the methods used by those old women to kill the apostles were underhanded tricks. It's definitely the senior person who's cheating, but now, it's us ambushing her. He, are you scared? Yilin smiled and patted Angela on the shoulder, don't worry, don't look at Lao Zhao sweating. He should still retain a lot of spiritual energy, plus. Yilin didn't continue. Ding. Because the elevator has reached the first floor at the speed of light. The Goddess Tower is a tourist attraction in Hating City. During the day, countless tourists or local citizens come here admiringly, wanting to climb to the viewing floor on the top of the Goddess Tower to take in a panoramic view of the entire Hating City scenery. But now that the opening period of the Goddess Tower has passed, and Lao Zhao has used the energy of the special group in advance to seal off a large area, so the decisive battle with Zhang Huishun is about to come, and there are no ordinary humans coming to disrupt the situation. Lao Zhao was afraid of making the scene too big, hurting innocent people, and making it difficult to explain afterwards. Angela looked calm and didn't know what she was thinking. The three of them entered the elevator separately. Yilin followed at the end. Angela seemed to hesitate for a moment before entering the elevator, but it was not obvious, and finally entered the elevator. The Goddess Tower is hundreds of meters high. No matter how fast the elevator is, it will take a certain amount of time. Yilin is still wearing a set of Krypton gold-looking equipment from Gotham. The pure white gloves are spotless and very stylish. At the same time, he lowers his head and thinks silently. Think about next steps. The entire journey was speechless. Soon. Another ding. I don't know since when, the sound of ding has become a trend inexplicably. Whether it is various novels or various devices. This has been used for hundreds of years. Just listening to it makes me numb. In short, when the elevator door opened, the three of them did not hesitate and immediately jumped out of the elevator as quickly as possible. Lao Zhao took out a clean small silk scarf, the fragrant kind, from the storage space, and wiped the remaining sweat on his forehead. Angela silently walked a few steps forward, looking around warily. Yilin smiled slightly. The black tuxedo seemed to be completely integrated with the surrounding darkness. If you didn't look carefully, you couldn't even see Yilin's figure clearly. It seemed that in the darkness, there was only a strange smiling face and two pale palms. On the viewing floor of the goddess tower, there are many black steel pillars, standing upright like a forest. The feet, the front, and the top of the head are all made of transparent glass. At first glance, it makes people feel as if they are just flying in the air, standing proudly above Hating City, overlooking the world. Angela suddenly seemed to remember something. She took out her phone in the dark and checked it carefully for a while. Zhao Yulong suddenly reminded in a low voice, "Be careful, we can't rule out that Zhang Huishan is here." Angela nodded and put the phone away. Huh. Zhao Yulong's pupils shrank slightly. With the light of countless light beams and holographic virtual advertisements in the sky of Hating City, Zhao Yulong discovered blood stains on the transparent glass under his feet. The blood has not dried yet, and it still feels a little sticky when stepped on. It spreads forward, dragging a bloody path on the glass. No need for Zhao Yulong to remind Angela that she also discovered blood stains on the ground. There was no language. We were all experienced drivers. There was no need to say more or discuss the situation. The two of them just followed the blood stains on the ground and walked forward quickly and carefully. Angela is worthy of being an agility side apostle. When she gets serious, her movement speed is a few points faster than Zhao Yulong before using the ability. Sudden. Zhao Yulong's breath suddenly stagnated. At the end of the blood stain, a girl covered in blood was covering her right shoulder with one hand. Her right arm was broken at shoulder level and dripping with blood. I saw Oda Mai silently sitting on the glass leaning against the steel pillar, motionless, like a corpse. Dash. Even when the two of them approached, the girl with the broken arm did not notice it. However, her chest rose and fell slightly. Only then did Angela and Zhao Yulong realize that Oda Mai was not completely dead and still had a faint breath left. Breathing means not dead yet. The avatar is still bright. Still struggling. Still have a chance. Angela took a few quick steps. Zhao Yulong wiped away his sweat again. Are you okay? Angela leaned down, a smile showing on her scarlet lips, to check the status of my Oda. Oda Mai. You're not dead, are you? Zhao Yulong asked as he walked up behind him. Probably not yet, but... Angela suddenly smiled. In an instant, her right hand suddenly made a snapping sound, veins burst out on the back of her palm, and her fingers twisted strangely. The index finger and middle finger, two fingers without nail polish, suddenly stretched out, like sharp swords, emitting an icy cold light in the darkness. Yilin. Zhao Yulong. He. Angela smiled, and without any warning, she penetrated Oda Mai's chest with two sharp blades. Laugh. Oda Mai was already dying, and Angela's movements were so fast that people were defenseless. Angela pulled two fingers out of Oda Mai's chest. In an instant, Angela's two fingers actually pulled out a gorgeous arc of blood from Oda Mai's chest. Suddenly. Right now. Angela didn't notice that at the moment she killed Oda Mai, a red and white short knife suddenly appeared on the side of Angela's neck without any precautions. To be precise, it is the location of the carotid artery on one side. Call out. That dark red sword light, in the darkness, was like the scythe of death, slicing across Angela's neck without any emotion. Everything happens in a flash of lightning. The moment Yilin took action, Zhao Yulong, who was sweating profusely, was not idle. He raised his palm out of thin air and pinched it with 5 fingers in the direction of Angela. But for some reason, that smile looked a bit wretched in this environment. Yilin and Zhao Yulong took action at the same time. Choose the moment when Angela takes action against Oda Mai. Whether it's timing or coordination, it's all so perfect. But at this moment, when Yilin's knife cut hard, a special effect of cracking and shattering suddenly bloomed from Angela's body, as if there was a film covering Angela's body, which was struck by Yilin's killing knife. Broken. Angela's face was expressionless, and with a flick of her hand, she took out a card from the storage space and crushed it. After the card shattered, countless light points gathered around Angela, and the body that had become heavy under the influence of Zhao Yulong's ability regained its lightness. Angela moved, like a shadow, running towards the darkness. After Yilin stepped out of the elevator, she silently activated following the shadow and sneaked into the darkness, choosing the moment when Angela was most relaxed to take action. Unexpectedly, the opponent actually had a one-time life-saving prop-like puppet doll on her. As for why it is speculated to be a one-time prop, based on experience. If it were not a one-time prop, what happened to Angela would not have been broken, but she would have killed Yilin and Zhao Yulong without fear despite being trapped in a trap. Life-saving tool? It doesn't matter. Plan B. From now on, let this world. However, what Yilin didn't expect was that before Yilin finished reciting her most commonly used skill disaster haunting, Angela, whose protective film was punctured, let out a few weird laughs and avoided Yilin. His vision hid behind the steel pillar. Yilin stopped singing, and her expression suddenly turned grim. He used the fastest speed to filter through his brain the list of all the people who knew his disaster haunting skill, regardless of friends or foes. Yilin suddenly thought of a terrifying possibility. And it's extremely possible. So much so that the mediocre banana peel and cryogenic bomb that Yilin already held in her hands were not crushed and used. Ah! Angela hid in the darkness and did not reveal her figure. Snapped. A crisp sound. That's Angela's lighter. After Angela chuckled, she was not in a hurry and hid in the darkness and lit a cigarette. Tread, tread, tread. From another place. Another intact Mai Oda walked out of the darkness. Just when Oda Mai was about to strike at the flickering fire in the darkness, she was stopped by Yilin's hand. She didn't understand why the enemies were so clear and yet they couldn't be killed. But after thinking about it, Oda Mai felt that Yilin's mind seemed to be okay, so she suppressed the urge to draw the knife in her heart and suddenly fell silent. Call. Angela blew out a long puff of smoke. The sound is extremely comfortable. The smell of smoke was very strong, spreading quietly in the viewing layer, and it was a bit pungent. And at the same time, the broken arm Oda Mai, who was leaning against the pillar and dying, finally couldn't bear it after being tortured, and suddenly transformed back into his original form, which was a grey card. Before the card had time to fall to the ground, it turned into dots of light, dissipated into the darkness, and was completely annihilated. Bad clone. Grade rare. Effect: after being used on the target, it can 100% replicate the target within 30 minutes and maintain the most basic vital signs. However, apart from pretending to be dead, it may, or has no other effect. Explanation: be confident and you can do whatever you want and be as creative as you want. This prop card, which made Yilin feel something was wrong from its effect to its description, was originally obtained by Yilin in Gotham City by trading a stack of TNT bombs with Suzayasu. Afterwards, it was left in the corner of Yilin's storage space and ignored. In fact, when Yilin traded with Suzayasu, she thought it would not be a loss anyway, but she didn't think of how to use this weird prop at the time. Unexpectedly, it would come in handy in this incident. Angela was still puffing away her breath. Suddenly, she asked in the darkness with an erratic tone, "When did you find out?" Yilin originally wanted to smile slightly to show respect. "But I don't know why." The thought in her heart was like a huge stone, making it difficult for Yilin to smile. Ding. Right now. The elevator dinged again in the distance. The sound is very clear and moving. I don't know if it's a coincidence or not. Almost immediately after the elevator dinged. Laugh. An iron rope came silently from high in the sky, penetrated the glass on the viewing floor, and flexibly wrapped around one of the pillars. 5 minutes ago. Not long after Yilin and others started to climb the goddess tower. Ha 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 ha. Get out of here, fatty. A cursing voice came from the end of the road. Along with that powerful voice, the figures of Li Erpang and Suzayasu appeared at the end of the road. Li Erpang and Suzayasu looked a bit embarrassed. Li Erpang twisted his steps from time to nimbly avoid attacks from behind. Suzayasu, intentionally or unintentionally, stood behind Li Erpang and silently withstood most of Li Erpang's attacks with her body of steel. In the darkness of the night, Li Erpang didn't notice that Suzayasu's expression was a little sickly pale, and her running steps were no longer as steady as they were at first. Behind the two people, more than a dozen apostles were chasing after them. They wore various masks on their faces. At first glance, they looked like 100 ghosts walking in the night, a group of demons dancing wildly, and their smiles gradually became abnormal. Kill, kill, kill. Kill that damn fat man. What the hell is it that I have a wife? How can I blatantly throw dog food at you? Have you ever thought about my feelings? Kill me. Showing affection doesn't matter the occasion. Kill. Give singles a way to survive. Who will I kill if I don't kill you? Chasing from day to night, from the street to the end of the street, from the east of the city to the city, some hot-headed apostles even forgot the reason for chasing the little fat man in the first place due to the terrible inertia. Reason? I don't care what his reasons are. Kill him first. Many people did not realize that from time to time a body was left behind the chasing group. If someone lifted the mask off the corpse's face at this time, they might still be able to discern a hint of shock and confusion that was not taken away before death. Occasionally, other apostles would quietly fall behind a few steps after earning enough death points through constant secret attacks. When others were not paying attention, they would decisively leave the pursuit team and blend into the vast night without any trace. As Zhao Yulong said, there are no apostles who can live as long as White Lotus. Unless, he doesn't live long. Another part of the street. There was another burst of messy footsteps and noise. Li Chang'e, who was wrapped in bandages, ran towards the goddess tower crazily with various small special effects exploding behind him, chrysanthemums with lightning all the way. Behind the two of them, there were also a large number of masked apostles chasing closely. Li Chang'e looked up at the towering goddess tower, and was so happy that he almost couldn't hold back tears of joy. I'm finally here. Lao Pan lowered his head and followed Li Chang'e. The stick is carried on the shoulder. Because the group of apostles behind them were repeatedly deceived by Li Chang'e and Lao Pan, they no longer believed in the extremely deceiving special effects of the two guys. No matter how realistic the special effects were, they would not hesitate to bump forward and hit the goal with their heads. Then Li Chang'e's various special effects collapsed. Damn it, kill them. Isn't it great to have your own special effects? It's useful. Ha ha ha. You can't use the same move against the saint a second time. He 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 he. It's similar to the fat man's side. The army of apostles chasing Li Chang'e was stretched too long due to different agility attributes or their own ulterior motives. From time to time, corpses with extremely confused hearts were left alone in the middle of the road. From time to time, there were apostles who had seen through everything and quietly retreated after earning enough death points. In any case, it is not a loss to choose to retreat bravely at this time. Be content and happy. Finally, Li Erpang and Li Chang'e, who had been wandering around in their respective cities for a long time, led a group of apostles around for a long time, and finally gathered here again after going through countless hardships. No one knew what they had gone through, and it would only make them cry. What the hell? Fatty. Why are you so thin? Li Chang'e saw from a distance that Li Erpang had become a handsome man, and his tone was startled. He couldn't help but glance at Suzayasu next to Li Erpang, with a hint of horror in his eyes. This is the legendary water that makes people haggard? So scary. I, Li Chang'e, would like to call you the strongest among women. Sister Su. Li Erpang was also startled when he first saw another group of people running towards them from another road with huge smoke and dust billowing. He thought that the apostles behind him had learned well and actually understood the sophisticated art of double teaming in front and behind. Although he could not recognize Li Chang'e's attire, the little fat man recognized the stick carried on Lao Pan's shoulders at a glance. After all, for a while, Li Erpang still couldn't forget the fear of being dominated by the wet stick that night in Gotham City. Damn Lao Pan. Pretenders. Is it you? Damn Lao Pan? Pan Xiaozhang slowly typed a question mark. Pretender. Are you talking about Lao Pan? Li Chang'e also raised a question mark. Soon. After Fatty Li and Lao Pan checked their eyes and recognized each other, the four people who had been chased all day gathered together again under the goddess tower. The two groups of apostles also met opposite the four people. Opposite Li Erpang and the four others, there was a dense gathering of heads wearing masks. At a glance, the dozens of weird heads are like monsters in the dark night, so hideous that one can't help but feel numb. From this, we can deduce what a terrifying number the apostles who gathered in Hating City because of Zhang Huishun and unknown spirit-possessed weapons are. If it hadn't been for Zhao Yulong's intimidation at the Apostle Forum in the name of the special group at the beginning of the incident, the number of monsters standing in front of Li Erpang and the four people with gradually abnormal smiles would have doubled. And right now, in the army of apostles. Don't run away. He, I've been chasing you all day, and you won't run away? Huh? Run away? Why don't you try running for a while longer? Don't talk nonsense to them. Kill them. Kill. Li Erpang and Lao Pan looked at each other silently, and their sullen faces actually started to laugh at the same time. Li Erpang narrowed his eyes, he. Lao Pan grinned, quack, quack, quack. Their eyes met again, as if they had met the right person. Li Erpang and Lao Pan's laughter became more and more sinister. Suddenly, Lao Pan and Li Erpang stared at Li Chang'e with eyes that looked like they were looking at little sheep. And it's the kind that's shaved, pink and smooth. Li Chang'e was looked at by the two people with strange looks. The feeling at this moment was no less than that of the mother spirit riding on him and shushing him, and there was a chilly feeling behind him. You guys, what are you watching me do? But it was the first time that Li Erpang and Lao Pan had a clear understanding of each other, and they actually said in unison, I didn't do anything, the weather is so sunny today he. A question mark suddenly popped up above Li Chang'e's forehead. The kind with special effects. Not to mention Li Chang'e, the weird laughter of Lao Pan and Li Erpang made even the other side look confused. Is there a trap? The apostles who were accustomed to wandering between life and death were more precious than ordinary people, their own lives. For a moment, the two of them were laughing, and the army of apostles also looked at each other, as if no one wanted to stand out more than the others, acting like this inexplicable bulging-headed bird. But there will always be a time when a girl becomes a young woman, and there will always be a time when silence is broken. It didn't take long, and someone among the apostles was ready to make a move. It seemed that they wanted to throw some small surprises such as skills and props on the four of Li Chang'e. Lao Pan suddenly turned around and asked Li Chang'e, by the way, do you have a knife or anything like that with you? Li Chang'e looked confused, no. What are you doing here? Lao Pan smiled and said, it's fine if you don't have it, it's fine if you don't have it. Another bigger question mark popped up on Li Chang'e's forehead. Seeing that the situation was getting out of control, and the group of apostles on the opposite side were approaching like hungry wolves, Li Erpang no longer hesitated, and directly lowered his voice and said fiercely to the other two people, now. The second phase of the final version of the bait plan. Start. Following Li Erpang's order. Suzayasu, okay. Lao Pan, got it? Li Chang'e, hey, wait, what the hell is the second stage? Why didn't I know? Without any precautions, at the moment when the second stage of the ultimate edition of the decoy plan was launched, Li Erpang, Lao Pan, and Suzayasu simultaneously untied the long black box from behind and threw it directly into the crowd of apostles. Those three dark boxes drew graceful arcs in mid-air, like bright stars in the dark night, instantly attracting the attention of all hostile apostles. Box. Spiritual weapon. Be mine. The moment the three boxes were thrown out, the apostle army, which was still facing the outside world in unison, fell into chaos in an instant. Regardless of whether there are ownerless weapons in the box, in this extremely short period of time, there is no time to think and judge. All the hostile apostles are trying their best to fight for the three boxes in mid-air that have not yet had time to land. Kill. All the apostles' eyes showed ferocious murderous intent, but this time they no longer showed murderous intent just for Li Chang'e and others. But, everyone fighting for the box, is an enemy. Soon. The apostle army fell into chaos because of the random entry of three boxes. When Li Chang'e saw this, he was stunned for a while, but he reacted instantly. So this is the second phase of the ultimate bait plan? The legendary 2 peaches kill 3 dampness. Awesome. What a plan. The boss is truly a boss. I, Li Chang'e, would like to call you the strongest. Oh wait, I also dash. Li Chang'e reacted, thinking that he was carrying a similar suitcase on his back, and was about to untie it. He imitated fatty old Pansu and the other two, and threw it into the crowd, contributing a small amount of strength. Rest assured. I will definitely throw it very accurately. What's so secret about this plan? Dislike. Etc. Lao Pan suddenly laughed, patted Li Chang'e's shoulder, and mysteriously stuffed a card into Li Chang'e's pocket. Don't be anxious, do you remember the tips bag? Now, it's time to give you the tips bag. Tips. Li Chang'e was slightly startled when he heard this. He didn't notice that old Pan's tone at this time was very much like coaxing Little Red Riding Hood to spread her legs. No, it was the wolf woman who opened the door. But taking advantage of the chaos on the other side, Li Chang'e became much calmer. With a bit of curiosity on his face, he took the card from Lao Pan's hand calmly. But there was no need for Li Chang'e to reach out to pick it up. Pan Xiaozhang quickly stuffed the little tip bag into Li Chang'e's pocket. Suddenly, when the attributes on the card appeared in front of him, Li Chang'e's eyes suddenly widened, completely losing his past charm. Rustling, rustling. Rustling, rustling. Rustling, rustling. Lao Pan also began to work hard. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 156. Batsuit Modified. Level Epic. Restrictions: Male, suitable body shape, charm value greater than 5.0. Durability 2764/3000. Effect click to view details. Instructions click to view details. God, 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 artifact. The moment Li Chang'e saw the attributes of this piece of equipment, his inner admiration for Yi Lin was like a torrent of water, continuous, and like a rolling wave, one shot and out of control. This is the tip. How could he be so awesome? Rustling. If Li Chang'e hadn't been habitually duplicitous and kept calm on the surface, perhaps the moment he saw this epic piece of equipment, he couldn't help shouting in a gentle and high-pitched voice. The boss is awesome. However, Li Chang'e finally resisted the urge to shout. He clamped his legs together, his whole body shaking violently, and it was very hard to endure. As for equipment restrictions. What kind of restriction is this? As long as you're not a female, it's basically not a restriction, right? It's a bit difficult for someone like Li Erpang. Rustling. Li Chang'e was deeply moved. He didn't expect that Yi Lin would leave him such an awesome piece of equipment at the end. Boss, I, Li Chang'e, am willing to follow you to the end of the world, to the end of the world, to the 9 heavens and 10 places, the kind of person who will never leave you. Snapped. Just when Li Chang'e was in a complicated mood. Li Erpang's expression contained 3 parts of sadness, 3 parts of beating his chest, 3 parts of despair, and 1 part of inscrutability due to his narrowed eyes. He patted Li Chang'e's shoulder hard. Not to mention, Li Erpang was an apostle on the power side. This slap made Li Chang'e's shoulder numb and a little painful. Li Erpang quickly stuffed another small card into Li Changsong's pocket. He said mysteriously, "You can take care of it yourself at the critical moment, maybe it will be of great use." Damn it! Any more tips? What kind of happy day is today? So is everyone celebrating? Why is the corner of the little fat man's mouth twitching slightly, feeling a little weird? Li Chang'e didn't think much about it, but with some small expectations in his heart, he took the mysterious little card from Li Erpang. But I haven't had time to see it yet. On the other side, Lao Pan, who had been busy working, had already clapped his hands happily. Okay. It's done. Li Chang'e. Li Erpang's expression became solemn. Let's go. Suzayasu, yeah. Lao Pan, hurry up. Li Chang'e, hey, wait for me, I'll throw the box out first. Box. Li Chang'e originally wanted to untie the box behind his back. The straps of the box were obviously untied, but the damn box seemed to have grown legs and was tightly wrapped around Li Chang'e's back, leaving Li Chang'e helpless. At this time, Li Chang'e looked down and found that his body was tightly tied with thumb-thick hemp rope from top to bottom, from front to back, from top to bottom, tossing and turning, with extremely complicated techniques and extremely tricky angles. Li Chang'e and the box behind him were tied into the shape of a tortoise. What the hell? Turtlebound.jpg? Oh no, turtle and turtlebinding.avi. Lao Pan, why are you so skilled in your movements? Li Chang'e suddenly remembered. Lao Pan asked him not long ago if he had a knife on him. Is that the reason? Etc. How fat is this? Li Chang'e didn't realize for a while that he was inexplicably tied into the shape of a turtle. But soon, even before they could react, Lao Pan and the others were already running towards the goddess tower with their heads down, directly leaving the heartthrob song behind. Li Chang'e suddenly had an ominous premonition in his heart that he might, maybe, or would be left behind. Thinking of this, Li Chang'e was about to kneel down and hug his thigh to beg, but he didn't expect that the 3 power side apostles turned around at the same time, with different expressions, and kicked Li Chang'e away with a neat movement. Ah! In mid-air, Li Chang'e felt that time passed around him and became longer. He suddenly remembered something. When you really can't hold on and are about to die, Lao Pan will give you a tip bag to save your life. Old Pan, Where's the tips bag? Let's talk about it when you're about to die. Li Chang'e suddenly understood. It turns out that this is when he is about to die. So, is this the real face of the second phase of the final version of the bait plan? Snapped. Li Chang'e fell heavily to the ground. Goddess Tower. In order to prevent Li Chang'e from slipping away, Li Erpang prepared several chains as thick as a bowl in advance and directly locked the only entrance to the Goddess Tower, completely cutting off Li Chang'e's last thoughts. Hey hey hey! Li Erpang smiled sinisterly. The three of them squeezed into the elevator. And at this time, Li Chang'e finally landed, resembling a long-lost ancient martial arts move, Ping Shaluyan style with butt in the air. The group of apostles competing for the 3 boxes had already come to a conclusion. No one in the crowd cared about how many more corpses were on the ground, and no one cared about how many more apostles fell innocently into this whirlpool. Damn it! It's an empty box. We were tricked by that damn fat man. This side is empty too. Empty add 1. Wait a minute. In addition to the empty box that Ghostface threw away long ago, don't this group of people have 5 boxes in total? Li Chang'e raised his head. He happened to meet a pair of hungry wolf eyes looking at naked little lambs. Hating City. In the air. An invisible armed helicopter parked silently above the Goddess Tower. Team leader, Lele just sent a message saying that the prey has been caught. There were only 2 people on the gunship. As a tool driver, it doesn't matter. And in the back row of the armed helicopter, an old man with gray hair wearing a black kung fu suit kept his eyes closed and sat calmly in his position, like a tall mountain. Even just sitting there, he could give people a feeling. An invisible sense of oppression. There is no enemy. A man who once climbed to the top of Mount Everest to have a picnic with an ordinary human body. Good. Amorendi suddenly opened his eyes, like 2 bright stars in the dark night. Suddenly. Amorendi gritted his teeth, his beard trembled desperately, and said angrily, "That damn scumbag, how dare you hinder me and my sweet granddaughter Meng Meng celebrates the 17th anniversary of learning to walk, I must take care of it, just beat him to death." He. It was better not to speak, but when he spoke, Amorendi's inscrutableness that he exuded inadvertently was completely destroyed by the protracted and tongue-twisting tone of "my good granddaughter." Team leader. There seems to be thugs fighting in the street below. Do you want to shoot them? No need. Amorendi stood up in the gunship. But, we can't land on the ground. I told you, no need to. Amorendi picked up a bundle of steel cables that had been prepared from his feet with one hand. He moved his muscles a little, and there was a snapping sound all over his body. Haha, I haven't been active for a long time. As he spoke, Amorendi opened the cabin door directly under the driver's shocked gaze, smoothed his hair, and took a step towards the sky as if taking a leisurely stroll. Here is. At an altitude of hundreds of meters. Amorendi quickly fell from the helicopter. Free fall. Taking advantage of my free time, I also tidied my clothes. In the blink of an eye, Amorendi had landed in front of the Goddess Tower, more than 10 meters away. Suddenly, Amorendi looked calm, and with a flick of his wrist, he suddenly threw the bundle of steel cables toward the top of the Goddess Tower, the viewing floor. The moment the steel cable was released, the originally limp steel cable seemed to turn into a spear in the hands of Amoren. In the blink of an eye, like a bullet, it penetrated the special glass of the viewing layer by a small amount. Hole. Silent. Even around the small hole in the glass, it was smooth and round, with not even a single crack spreading. Hiss. The tightrope is like electricity. After breaking through the special glass, Amorendi narrowed his eyes slightly, as if he could see everything in the viewing layer through space. He flicked his wrist again, and the steel cable was as flexible as a tongue and wrapped around one of the pillars. Superior. From the moment Rendi crashed the plane to when the steel cable was wrapped around the pillar, the whole process took no more than 3 seconds from start to finish. Within these 3 seconds, Rendi completed it all calmly and even took the time to tidy up his clothes. Call out. Rendi chuckled, and used his hands, arms, and shoulders to exert force at the same time. His whole body was like a cannonball leaving the barrel. Under the reaction force of the steel cable, he flew directly towards the viewing floor. Snapped. Boom. Wow. Rendi kicked the glass to pieces, making no sound, and the soles of his feet trembled slightly for 10 times, removing all the inertia brought by the gravitational potential energy. Sorry, I'm late. Ding. Crisp and pleasant sound. The elevator door opens. In an instant, a cursing voice took the lead. Holy shit. That damn Pangenji backed down. He even pressed the elevator button for me. What the hell dash? Sue, Sister Sue, you seem to have bumped into me, damn it. We're here. Li Erpang's body was flexible and he suddenly jumped out of the elevator, his palms shining like carefully polished instruments. Behind him was Suzayasu, who said nothing. Li Erpang squinted his eyes. He soon realized that something was wrong with the atmosphere. He originally thought that before he arrived, the place was already in full swing, so that his little fat man could clean up the mess and see if he could take advantage of it. It seems that the script is somewhat different from what he imagined. Etc. Who is the very handsome old man standing over there? At this time, classmate Erpang also discovered the existence of Rendi and slowly raised a question mark. In the dark. Yilin raised her head. He suppressed all the shock, doubts, and speculations in his heart for the time being. Because, everyone is here. Lao Pan didn't come up, which was expected by Yilin. After all, for some reason, Lao Pan had nothing but the stick, and he did not receive a real mission. At the last moment, Lao Pan definitely would not risk his life to enter the decisive battle. Angela didn't make any move. She took a deep drag on the cigarette, inhaling the turbid smoke deep into her lungs, letting the spiciness linger in her chest, and then exhaled it slowly. Then, in the darkness, the flickering light went out, and it looked like Angela had put out the cigarette butt. No one saw that the cigarette butt on the ground was not a slender lady's cigarette. Yilin, Zhao Yulong, Li Erpang, Suzayasu, Oda Wu, and, Invincible. Zhao Yulong and Rendi can be said to be the leaders of the special group. Yilin, Li Erpang, Suzayasu, and Oda Wu are also among the second-level apostles in terms of combat power. Such a lineup, used to surround and kill one person, seems a bit overwhelming. Too much. It's just, Angela, who is also a second-level apostle. But why Angela? Yilin chuckled, should I call you Angela, or, Zhang Huishun? Zhao Yulong was stunned when he heard this. What the hell? Didn't you secretly tell me that she might be Zhang Huishun's accomplice? In the dark. Angela was silent for a few seconds. Suddenly, in a strange and sinister tone, he said with a smile, as expected of you. Everyone was shocked when they heard this. When Yilin started to fool other people. When Qing Mimi started to formulate the whole plan without telling the miserable Li Chang'e. When Yilin and Lao Zhao were acting affectionately in front of Angela. When the whole hating city was in a lively atmosphere due to the masquerade. Yilin didn't tell anyone. He had roughly guessed who Zhang Huishun was. The whole plan can be said to be centered on Yilin. He cheated a little here and a little there. In order to perform well, only Yilin knew the whole plan. How did you find out that she was Zhang Huishun? Zhao Yulong's eyes were filled with murderous intent. When he and Yilin first made the whole plan, Yilin only told Zhao Yulong that Angela was probably Zhang Huishun's accomplice. But Zhao Yulong was not told that Angela was Zhang Huishun Ben Chun. Therefore, Yilin's sudden words made Zhao Yulong's mind freeze for several seconds. Yulin turned her palms. Crush the card. Shake again, and there are 2 more cards ready at any time. At the same time, Bai Xiaoai's figure floated out from behind Yulin silently. At this time, even if Mo Ren was here, Yulin felt that it was not safe enough, so he exposed a considerable part of his trump card at once. No vision? Yulin takes the initiative to create vision. No nonsense. Kill. Just as Yulin had worried at first, Angela, oh no, it should be said that it was Zhang Huishun now. After hunting down countless apostles along the way, he picked up many practical skills and props from the box. Although you may not be able to draw useful things every time, if Zhang Huishun himself has extremely high luck, it would be a bit scary. If she hadn't been worried about this, Yulin might have been unable to help but take action when Zhao Yulong was desperately trying to profit from Angela. But if it were at that time, if Zhang Huishun was not killed on the spot, Yulin was also worried that Zhang Huishun had other skills or props, and would directly escape into the sea of people, never to be found again. But now, the entire Zhongji district has finally been emptied, and Zhang Huishun has been isolated on this goddess tower hundreds of meters high. The possibility of killing Zhang Huishun has been artificially adjusted to the highest level. In short, do your best and have a clear conscience. Fortunately, Yulin was cautious. Otherwise, if we take action in advance, although it will consume one of Zhang Huishun's rare life-saving tools, it will undoubtedly alert the snake. The difficulty of picking Zhang Huishun out from the huge crowd will instantly increase by several levels. Kill. The moment Yulin issued the order, except for Mo Rendi, everyone else's faces showed varying degrees of murderous intent. Do it. Whether it was because of the mandatory real-life tasks issued by the tower or because of the series of events triggered by Zhang Huishun, their side and Zhang Huishun were destined to be in a fight to the death. There's nothing to talk nonsense about. In an instant, Li Erpang and Su Xiaosu were like tanks, circling towards Zhang Huishun from 2 directions. Murderous. Oda Mai's eyes were cold and her expression remained unchanged, but at the moment when Yulin said to take action, Oda Mai's right hand that had never left the handle of the sword trembled slightly, and in an instant, a sharp sword light appeared. The speed of Mai Oda's sword draw was terrifyingly fast. Before she even had time to see the path of the sword clearly, Mai Oda had already put the sword back into its sheath and prepared to strike out with the second knife. When Mo Rendi saw Oda Mai's movements, his expression became a little more interested. Huh. Not bad. And the other side? Seeing that the atmosphere was quite solemn, Bai Xiaoai did not dare to be verbose after coming out. Under Yulin's command, she walked around the pillar and clearly saw Zhang Huishun's figure with her eyes. Got a perspective. Let the world feel pain from now on. After practicing many times, Yulin's speaking speed has become faster and faster, so fast that others have no time to understand the meaning of the sentence. Originally, Yulin had never planned to expose the skill in front of Li Erpang. After all, in Gotham City, Yulin used this skill to silently kill Zhu Yun'er, the emperor of the Z5 Council. But Zhang Huishun was more difficult to deal with than expected. It was unknown how many people she had killed. There were all kinds of messy props in her hands, and Yulin decided not to keep them at this moment. Let's take a step back. Even if the little fat man really notices something strange, so what? Zhu Yun'er is dead. Even if Li Erpang had doubts, he had no evidence. If there is no basis for suspecting a car, it is not considered driving. What's more, with the little fat man's ghostly character, he would definitely not offend Yulin, who has all kinds of tricks, just for the sake of a dead old ghost. After all, he has been tricked by Yulin many times. No matter how terrifying the power of the Zhu family is in reality, no matter how strong their financial resources are, for the apostles, the interest relationship between them is more real. Sure enough, in this tense situation, Li Erpang had no time to pay attention to the profound meaning of Yulin's ambiguous lines. Without pausing for a moment, his two palms flew directly towards Zhang Huishan, who was hiding behind the pillar. On the other side of the pillar, Suzayasu also arrived at the battlefield, with her waist bent and her face expressionless. With a fist as big as a casserole, she and the little fat man and the couple formed a pincer attack. They cooperated just right and punched Zhang Huishan to death. And arrived. Zhao Yulong chuckled. He was not going to be idle, he was almost sweating, and his spiritual energy had recovered a lot. Old Zhao raised his hand, ready to activate his ability. With his temperament, since he is an enemy, he should be surrounded and beaten, but there is no psychological pressure. As the only ordinary human at the scene, Amorendi had a calm expression and put his hands behind his back. He originally wanted to take action, but Suzayasu was too tall and directly blocked Amorendi's path. Amorendi thought for a moment. Decided to wait and see what happens. In his opinion, no matter what his ability is, he is not afraid of it. Why? No reason. Because he is invincible. The Amorendi who refused the call of tower because he didn't understand what yes or no meant. If Amorendi accidentally clicked yes at that time, the situation among the apostles would probably be completely different. It's too late, but it's soon. Everyone took action, almost at the same time, in no particular order. Somehow, as Yulin finished speaking, an invisible force of rules fell on Zhang Huishan directly with the help of Bai Xiaoai's vision. But right now, Zhang Huishan's body suddenly reflected a gray light. Without warning, the gray light traveled through space, penetrated the pillar, and fell directly on Zhao Yulong, who had just raised his hand to use his ability. Zhao Yulong also reacted quickly. He just had time to twist his butt and prepare to avoid it. But the speed of that light was faster than Zhao Yulong's twist of his butt. Perhaps it should be said that the light refracted from Zhang Huishan cannot be described by the physics term speed at all. Bingo! Zhao Yulong's expression changed slightly. The next moment, Zhao Yulong's expression was confused. On his raised hand, an invisible pressure was released in all directions without distinction. Yulin's pupils shrank suddenly. My body suddenly became heavy. Yulin suddenly knelt down towards the ground. Etc. This is Zhao Yulong's ability. Why does it affect you? At the same time, Oda Wu, Li Erpang, and Suzayasu, who were besieging Zhang Huishan, fell directly to the ground under the influence of gravity. Snap, snap, snap. There was a clear sound of joint friction in Yulin's knees. He was using his greatest strength to resist the sudden gravity. While fighting against gravity, Yulin relied on her years of experience to react extremely quickly. The opponent must have some kind of prop that can reflect the directional skills of a single target. He actually reflected disaster written onto Zhao Yulong. It seems that Zhao Yulong's will attribute is not very high. Otherwise, this skill would not have been so thorough and messy. Confusion. The ability that was originally intended to be unleashed on Zhang Huishan was released indiscriminately due to the chaotic state. Zhang Huishan smiled coldly, murderous intent bursting out, her fingers suddenly stretched out, and she stabbed directly into the vest of the little fat man closest to her. Too fatty. Seeing this, Suzayasu, who had always had a calm expression, her eyes widened and her eyes were about to burst. She somehow found the strength to withstand Zhao Yulong's strength. She stood up straight on her knees and rushed towards Li Erpang. Brother Su. Li Erpang was completely shocked. His eyes were covered with a large amount of blood. It's Suzayasu's hot blood. Zhang Huishan suddenly burst out with a card-breaking light, and it flashed away. It seemed that the number of uses of a certain item was exhausted. But her expression remained unchanged and she took a few steps back as quickly as possible. In the blink of an eye, the confrontation was extremely fierce, props and skills were flying everywhere, Suzayasu's life or death was uncertain again. Erpang's classmate was so shocked that he could not move, but Zhang Huishan, who was at the center of the whirlpool, used various props and was still unscathed so far. But props cannot be used indefinitely. I believe that if this continues, even if Zhang Huishun has a warehouse of props, they will all be used up at some point. After a few seconds, Zhao Yulong, who pinned everyone to the ground, finally recovered from the chaos. But the moment the chaos was eliminated, Zhao Yulong's eyes darkened and he fell straight back. Boom, boom boom. The back of Zhao Yulong's head bounced hard on the glass panel several times. Yulin. Finally. Then Zhao Yulong fainted. Yulin can also move. But in a short period of time, without knowing whether Zhang's rejuvenation props have been used up, disaster-ridden dare not use it casually for the time being. Unexpectedly, Zhang Huishun accumulated such a rich net worth by hunting down the apostles. This level of luck really makes Yulin a little envious. Ahem, but now is not the time for real name envy. And finally, Amo Reni, who has never made a move, moved. Step by step, he walked towards Zhang Huishun. Hey hey. Zhang Huishun also smiled sinisterly. He took out another unknown card, which turned into a grey dim light and flew towards Amo Reni. Asking for a monthly ticket. Dear bosses, please take pity on me. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xuexi. Chapter 157. At the same time. Hating City. In the dark night. Under the goddess tower. Li Chang'e wanted to cry but had no tears. He moved back a little by little. But don't dare to move too fast. I was afraid of irritating the group of wild wolves in front of me. Li Chang'e understood everything at this time. It turns out that this is the real plan. Can we still have a good discussion with Hunden? Can we still happily make friends? Can't you make some mental preparations in advance? So that people can be prepared to escape at any time. Now this situation. Li Chang'e swallowed silently. It seemed that there were quite a few agile apostles among this group of people. Li Chang'e took 2 seconds to evaluate them. It seems, can't run away. For some reason, his strength, spirit, and attribute measurements are relatively average. It can be said that he is fully developed, extremely perfect, and has no shortcomings. But in other words, his attributes, to put it bluntly, have no advantages whatsoever. Except for the high charm value, everything else is unremarkable. This is very uncomfortable. Wait a minute, gentlemen, can you please stop slapping me in the face? Li Chang'e's answer was a mass of eerie laughter. The dark crowd was approaching Li Chang'e step by step with laughter. Everyone, please listen to my explanation. Let me tell you, the box behind me is really empty. I swear. It's okay if there is no explanation. With this explanation, the eyes of all the apostles who were tricked out of persecution paranoia along the way lit up. Hey, such a lame lie. You really think you can deceive us at this time? Yes, do you really think that my mental attribute of 2.50 is a vegetarian? There was an eerie silence for a moment. 2.50? It turns out that the mental attribute of 2.5 can already be called high. And when did attribute values become accurate to 2 digits after the decimal point? How come we don't know? Everyone looked at the 2.50 one after another. But I couldn't find who it was. So he had no choice but to give up and stare at the shivering Li Chang'e again. Right now. Yilin's words suddenly rang in Li Chang'e's mind. Still the same sentence. When you really can't hold on and are about to die, Lao Pan will give you a tip bag to save your life. But, save your life. When you can't hold on and are about to die? Isn't this the time? Although Li Chang'e thinks about hugging his thighs every day, being greedy for life and fearing death, and being handsome enough to break the sky, at heart, he is also a proud actor, and an apostle. No matter how much he and Yilin said it, They still had a life and death friendship in Giwu Mountain. Although Yilin had tricked him many times, they were all small tricks, and Yilin had never tricked Li Chang'e to death. Also at the end of Giwu Mountain, Li Chang'e listened to Yilin's instructions, secretly used his acting skills to compete with Wen Mani, and took away Wen Mani's knife, and finally survived Yilin's cheating in Giwu Mountain. From that day on, Li Chang'e had inexplicable confidence in Yilin. Even at this time, although Li Chang'e felt a little panicked, no, very calm, he still thought of Yilin's words in his mind. In other words, Yilin had anticipated the current situation, so she handed the artifact to him. And Yilin has absolute confidence that he, Li Chang'e, can rely on this piece of epic equipment to survive from this near-death situation, take off again, and reach another peak in life. Think of this. Li Chang'e was shocked. The fearful eyes gradually became brighter and clearer, taking on a new brilliance. Wonderful. That must be it. The boss knows things like a god. He must know that with this trick bag, he, Li Chang'e, will definitely survive. Otherwise, given how precious the epic level equipment is, how could Yilin give it to Li Chang'e? If Li Chang'e died, wouldn't he have lost an epic piece of equipment with such terrifying attributes? I see. I see. That's so. Li Chang'e suddenly understood. In an instant, Li Chang'e closed his eyes. Ahahaha. Seeing this, the apostles, whose smiles gradually became more perverted and their behavior became more ferocious, were suddenly startled. Did this young man resign himself to death so quickly? But before they had time to carefully figure out whether Li Chang'e's sudden closing of his eyes was due to pretense, fear, or another plan, Li Chang'e had already opened his eyes again. When those eyes opened, everyone had the illusion of being seen through those eyes that were as dazzling as stars. Even though they were wrapped in bandages, Li Chang'e's eyes were as dazzling as two light bulbs in the dark night. I saw Li Chang'e not retreating but advancing, taking a small step forward. This small step, like the steps taken by the entire human race, made Li Chang'e glow with confidence. The last sentence is not a rhetorical device. But at this moment, a brilliant light actually appeared from behind Li Chang'e, wrapping Li Chang'e's entire body. Everyone was shocked again. Ah, this? What the hell is this? Li Chang'e changed his fearful attitude and suddenly became high-spirited and high-spirited. The clothes all over his body were rustling without any wind, and Li Chang'e spoke slowly. If God had not given birth to me, the bandage man, his handsomeness will last forever. I didn't want to take action, but it was obviously you who forced me, so why are you doing this? Why suffer, all living beings suffer. I, the bandage man, want to tell you today what it means to be invincible in the world, and what it means to defeat all enemies in the world with just one pair of hands. After Li Chang'e finished speaking, he lowered his head, flicked his right arm to the side, and stretched his arm straight. Card drawing. The others were startled by Li Chang'e's sudden and aggressive movements. Li Chang'e suddenly crushed the card. In an instant, a gorgeous beam of light actually descended from the sky and shrouded Li Chang'e's head directly. When all the apostles saw this exaggerated scene, they couldn't help but say F***ck in unison. But this is not over yet. At the moment when the card was crushed, a set of black armor was divided into parts. In the blinding light, like a saint warrior transforming, it clicked toward Li Chang'e's head, arms, and chest. Back and legs are assembled one after another. Every time a component is successfully assembled, a frightening colorful light effect blooms at the point where the body contacts the component. Hiss. Scared, 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 so scary. This terrible assembly and transformation special effect was so powerful that it made everyone freeze in place. For a while, they couldn't figure out the reality, and they didn't dare to move. There is no other reason. The special effects are so realistic. After assembling each component, Li Chang'e stretched his limbs according to the situation. The whole set of movements was extremely smooth and without any flaws at all. Finally, the entire batsuit was assembled, and in the blink of an eye, Li Chang'e transformed from a bandaged man into a dark knight in the night. On his chest, a huge bat logo shines brightly. The black cloak behind him seemed to blend into the black box. A beam of light gradually converged on Li Chang'e. He is the most dazzling existence in this world. Li Chang'e opened his eyes again, full of confidence. He is the brightest star in the night sky. He is the best actor, Li Chang'e. At this time, several apostles couldn't help but mutter, "Where have I seen this suit before?" It's just that Li Chang'e's transformation process was too dazzling, making them a little uncertain. It seems like the original version, isn't that exaggerated? It is estimated that even the fat classmate who is a senior otaku will probably be shocked and speechless by the special effects that are like being possessed by golden holy clothes. All in all, Li Chang'e. The ship makes its grand debut with a new attitude. Inside the goddess tower, Amorendi took action decisively. His footsteps seemed to contain some kind of strange rhythm. They seemed extremely slow and the steps were not big, but each step actually covered a certain distance. In the eyes of others, his invincible figure seemed to teleport. After taking a few steps, he arrived in front of Zhang Huishun in a blink of an eye. But Zhang Huishun seemed to have expected that Amorendi would choose this moment to take action. The moment Amorendi moved, the unknown card came to Amorendi with an unknown effect. Amorendi's expression remained unchanged. In fact, this was not the first time he faced an apostle. He also had a deep understanding of the apostle's methods, but often, he relied on a pair of fists to directly penetrate all the apostles. I believe that, this time will be no exception. Just like when Yilin tried to use Disaster Haunted on Amorendi once, but because Amorendi had a very high will attribute and was ridiculously resistant to negative states, with one skill, Amorendi was just the body shook slightly, and the effect of the skill ended in vain. Skills are still skills, and props are still props. But attributes are the root of everything. Only by improving attributes can one break through the level of life. Amorendi had no expression on his face and punched out, trying to smash the unknown ability into pieces. But the grey light completely integrated into Amorendi's fist the moment it came into contact with Amorendi's fist, and disappeared in the blink of an eye. When other people saw this scene, their expressions changed slightly. But the next second, something strange happened. After Zhang Huishun crushed the card, another shadow of Amorendi appeared behind Amorendi, and then flew towards Zhang Huishun completely uncontrollably, and finally overlapped with Zhang Huishun completely. Yilin's pupils shrank suddenly. Zhang Huishun smiled. After the Amoren enemy shadow completely merged with her, on the surface, Zhang Huishun did not change at all. But in an instant, Amorendi's calm expression finally changed slightly. Oda Mai held the knife again. Li Erpang also recovered from the bloody scene in the romantic drama where Suzayasu sacrificed herself to save him. He hurriedly took out a precious health recovery item from the storage space and stuffed it into Suzayasu's mouth desperately. Zhao Yulong was still in a dazed state. I don't know if he was knocked unconscious. It's a bit miserable. Don't take action. Amorendi said softly to the others. Ha 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 ha. Zhang Huishun suddenly raised his head and laughed. Amorendi smiled slightly and slapped Zhang Huishun with a slap in the face. Zhang Huishun also sneered, the tip of the needle pointed at Mei Mang, and the same palm met Amorendi's palm. The two people's ordinary moves, under the gaze of everyone, collided with no special effects at all. Snapped. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Shueshi. Chapter 158. Snapped. Amorendi's skinny-looking palm collided with Zhang Huishun's fair and tender palm. Inside the goddess tower, Anyone who was still awake witnessed the scene with their own eyes. Amorendi is recognized as the strongest among humans other than the apostles. Zhang Huishun, on the other hand, was the culprit who hunted and killed an unknown number of apostles and possessed various strange methods and props, causing this series of events. In an instant, there was a moment of dead silence in the viewing layer. Yilin lowered his head and glanced at Zhao Yulong. Zhao Yulong's face turned pale, as if he had been knocked unconscious. I don't know if the effect of the skill is still continuing, or if it's just that unlucky. However, Yilin also found it a bit strange. In the past, the automatic second consecutive effect of Disaster Haunted was almost never triggered, but Zhao Yulong was so lucky to trigger the hidden attribute of Disaster Haunted. He was probably lucky. It's also hard to put into words. Yilin remained silent, turned on Shadow Follower, and dived into the darkness. The still time seemed to pass again. After the two palms clapped together, suddenly, Little Fatty, Brother Su, and Wu Oda, the three people closest to Amorendi and Zhang Huishun, were shocked and were thrown away at the same time. Gilialu. The bodies of the little fat man and Suzayasu rolled directly together. They were obsessed with each other and entangled endlessly. In the eyes of outsiders, they hugged each other very lovingly and rolled into the corner together. This roll seemed to have touched Suzayasu's wound again, and he opened his mouth and sprayed another mouthful of blood on Li Erpang's face. Grass. Although Li Erpang found it hard to accept Suzayasu's feelings and couldn't stand it, in this situation, Suzayasu rescued Li Erpang in a way that was like a romantic drama, and Li Erpang couldn't help it. Being a scumbag, he ignored the seriously injured Suzayasu. Oda Mai's eyes were cold. In mid-air, she suddenly pulled out the long sword. After being thrown away, she directly raised the sword and stuck it on the pillar with the back of the sword, removing the pain that Amorendi had revealed when fighting Zhang Huishun. The strange strength. But no matter what, Zhang Huishun and Amorendi finally cleared the surrounding area, making the surrounding area completely empty. Amorendi frowned slightly. The two palms separated as soon as they touched. Zhang Huishun's expression changed slightly. The capillaries on the arm he was holding against Amoren's hand suddenly burst, and many tiny blood drops seeped out from the pores of his arm. When Zhang Huishun came to his senses, he realized that he had been knocked back several steps involuntarily. His entire right arm drooped softly, and he couldn't exert much strength for a while. Amorendi's expression became a little more solemn. He didn't expect that Zhang Huishun could receive his palm. Hey hey hey. Suddenly. Blood jasmine. Next to Zhang Huishun's snow-white neck, a short knife appeared without any warning. For Yilin. This is the perfect time for assassination. After Zhang Huishun and Amorenren took control, the time was chosen when Zhang Huishun was most relaxed. While everyone may have thought that Zhang Huishun was most likely to be slapped to death by the number one man in the Dragon Kingdom, Yilin guessed the outcome of this confrontation through the confrontation just now. So, there was this knife. Zhang Huishun had been glaring at Amorenren and his right arm was drooping. But at the moment when Yilin's knife was about to be dragged down her neck, Zhang Huishun reacted and twisted his neck violently to avoid Yilin's knife. And at the same time, his left palm was like a knife, and he sliced Yilin's wrist without any fancy. Click. A sharp pain came from the wrist holding the knife. After Yilin's right wrist holding the knife made a crisp sound, it was cut at a curved angle by Zhang Huishun's hand knife. Broken. Yilin's face was as dark as water, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. When the killing blow failed to have any effect, Yilin was shocked, but his movements did not stop. Yilin gritted her teeth and endured the excruciating pain in her wrist. She instantly crushed the card with her other hand and silently dropped a round ball at Zhang Huishun's feet at an obscure angle. Back, back, back. Yilin used the fastest speed to retreat backwards. Her right wrist was fractured. Blood Jasmine also turned into a card again and was put into the storage space by Yilin. When he raised his head again, Yilin vaguely understood how Zhang Huishun managed to dodge the killing blow from behind while his presence was reduced by 100%. It's because there are no enemies. Zhang Huishun focused all his attention on Amo Rendi, but he probably did not relax his vigilance against Yilin. The moment Yilin drew his sword, Amo Rendi saw Yilin's existence with his naked eyes, but Zhang Huishun noticed Yilin behind him with shadow following activated through Amo Rendi's reaction and changes in his eyes. The speed of this reaction was so terrifying. Yilin knew that in the circle of apostles, there were no absolutely invincible skills, nor absolute level suppression. After all, apostles had all kinds of weird skills and props, and Yilin had to be careful when facing any apostle. Maybe a seemingly ordinary first-level apostle could take out a handful of shit and smear it on his face with his backhand. Everything happens in a flash of lightning. Just for a moment. A thin layer of cold sweat broke out on Zhang Huishun's forehead. If he hadn't been alert to Yilin's assassination and reacted the moment he noticed Amo Rendi looking behind him, Zhang Huishun might have died at this time. Killed by Yilin's sword. This time you delivered it to your door yourself. Zhang Huishun just had time to smile. Yilin's movements were so secretive that the old man was so nervous that he didn't notice when he turned his head that a small ball rolled to his feet. Although Amo Rendi was a little uncomfortable with Yilin's sudden intervention, he was too lazy to care about it at this time. He finally met a better opponent and was just about to stretch his muscles. After all, in his daily life, there were not many things that could withstand the torment of his enemies. But suddenly. But Amo Rendi couldn't help laughing and scolding, "You little bastard." Yilin endured the pain and thought for a while, but she still showed a smile. Zhang Huishun. Hiss. In an instant. The bomb went off. Cryogenic bomb. Grade rare. Effect. Click to view details. Explanation. In the eyes of Mr. Freeze, whether it is a lover or an enemy, freezing is forever. Number of uses, 1/1. Yilin and Amo Rendi had already exited the explosion range. In the dark. A biting cold wind instantly formed a blue low-temperature field centered on the cryogenic bomb from the simple Gotham City. Within the blue field with a diameter of 1 meter, it was almost impossible to see anything. Things can only feel a terrible low temperature, raging in the field. It seems that this moment, frozen, is eternity. Both lovers and enemies. Thank you. Friendly Mr. Freeze. After all, this is a friendship we once shared in a nursing home. Having said that, Yilin didn't dare to let down her guard at all. He took a deep breath and stared at the blue frozen field. At the same time, Yilin used her left hand to pull hard on her right wrist. There was a sharp click, and Zhang Huishun's palm split her right wrist into a right angle. Yilin's face was expressionless and she forcefully pulled it back to a normal angle. Health, 85%. Although the health value does not drop much. But at the moment of injury, a warm current silently surged out from a mysterious place in Yilin's body, flowing through Yilin's blood and quickly repairing Yilin's wounds. Dionysian factor. After Yilin was fused with the mysterious chemical substance Dionysian factor, incomplete, her physical condition was no longer the same as before. Even if she cut off her fingers, they could still grow back, not to mention a mere fracture of the radius and ulna. 3 seconds later, accompanied by a clear feeling of fatigue, Yilin's health had returned to full value. The severe pain in my right wrist has also reduced a lot. In the original place where Zhang Huishun was, the frozen field that could only last for 3 seconds had disappeared. The used cryogenic bomb was also exhausted due to the number of uses, turning into tiny points of light and completely dissipating. After Yilin violently reset the fracture, he didn't dare to look away from Zhang Huishun's position. The icy blue light dissipated. In the center of the low-temperature explosion, Zhang Huishun was nowhere to be seen. Suddenly, A petite figure suddenly appeared from the darkness. It's Zhang Huishun. Zhang Huishun was extremely fast, but the moment Zhang Huishun reappeared in the field of vision, Amorendi also reacted at the same time. With a movement of his body, it seemed to others that he was teleporting, and he crossed the space in an instant and came to Zhang Huishun. Behind, and where Amorendi originally stood, there was actually a cloth shoe print left on the glass panel. The texture was clear, there were no unnecessary glass cracks around it, and the glass was not broken. Amorendi's beard was trembling, and he did not hold back his hands. He struck at the back of Zhang Huishun's head with a seemingly ordinary punch. There wasn't even a stir, and at first glance it looked like a fist-pumping game. But it was the seemingly ordinary punch that made Zhang Huishun's pupils shrink sharply. She didn't need to look back, but she could feel the great terror coming from the back of her head. That was a punch that was practiced to the extreme in martial arts. At the very least, in this small space, no one can block the punch. Zhang Huishun, even after using that card, there is no way she can block the punch. This punch is close to the Tao, returning to nature. It can be said to have reached the ultimate level that humans can reach. Yilin's perception has already spread. However, his agility attribute was completely unable to keep up with his perception. Zhang Huishun was clearly close in front of him, and Yilin could clearly sense Zhang Huishun's movements, but his physical strength prevented him from evading it as he should. This moment, Yilin's brain was spinning very fast. Almost overloaded. The time around me seemed to have frozen. The positions of Amorendi, Zhang Huishun, and Yilin, as well as the positions of the others, seemed to form various coordinates in Yilin's mind, constructing a map. All the alternative plans were filtered through Yilin's mind one by one at an extremely fast speed. Draw a card. After screening, Yilin silently took out a card. Draw a card. Zhang Huishun smiled and also took out a card. Amorendi's punch was already on the back of Zhang Huishun's head, seemingly ordinary. Life and death depend on God. Threesome. Must die. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xueshi. Chapter 159. Goddess Tower. Ornamental Layer. The battle against Zhang Huishun has reached its final moment. After Amorendi actually took action, Oda Wu, Li Erpang, and Suzayasu never took action again. After all, with Amoren's presence, there is almost no room for others to intervene. But Yilin intervened. It wasn't that he wasn't afraid of death, or that he was too Meng Lang, but that he always felt that Amorendi, as an ordinary human, might not be able to completely kill Zhang, who had all kinds of weird props. Rejuvenation. Even if the enemy's attributes are off the charts, under certain rules, it is very likely that the culprit of the series of events will be let go. What Yilin wants is certainty. Therefore, after fully weighing the pros and cons and silently counting all his trump cards, Yilin decided to silently join the PK between Amorendi and Zhang Huishun. Among the apostles, there is no such thing as fairness or unfairness, morality or injustice. The winner is the king and the loser is the bandit, and the living is the king. In front of Yilin's eyes, time seemed to have frozen and passed again. Yilin and Zhang Huishun pulled out the card from the storage space at the same time. No one knows the effect of the other party's card. But the props Yilin used were his biggest life-saving trump card. None of them. To be honest, this was all thanks to the honest little fat man. In Gotham City, for fear that Yilin would not agree to the transaction, he actually used this cherished life-saving tool to trade a bunch of items, which were not too important to Yilin. TNT bomb. Thank you. Two fat classmates. Yilin and Zhang Huishun crushed the card at the same time. The moment Yulin crushed the card, countless fragments turned into a stream of light and quietly merged into Yulin's chest. That's where the heart is. And at the same time, Zhang Huishan crushed the cards indiscriminately. Click, click, click. But the moment Zhang Huishan crushed the card, a scarlet chain suddenly appeared out of nowhere. One end of it was shackled and directly clasped on Zhang Huishan's remaining wrist, while the other end suddenly it traveled through space and was cuffed on Yulin's wrist. And when the scarlet chain appeared inexplicably, connecting the two people tightly like a lover's lock, Amo Rendi's fist landed silently on the back of Zhang Huishan's head. If Zhao Yulong were here at this time, he would definitely be able to recognize that this is clearly one of the ancient martial arts that Amo Rendi is best at. Hitting cattle across mountains. Normally, after this punch, Zhang Huishan would not have any wounds on the surface, and not even a single hair might fall out. But all the brain matter and blood vessels behind the skull will be strangled into a lump of paste by the unrivaled secret power. Even if the most professional forensic doctor cuts open the skull of Zhang Huishan and dissects his body, he may not be able to distinguish it from the lump of paste out of the original brain structure. Certainly. This is the way it should be. Amo Rendi punched, and where the fist pointed, which was the back of Zhang Huishan's head, circles of strange red ripples rippled out, perfectly blocking Amo Rendi's fist from Zhang Huishan's head. And Amo Rendi's fist was only a piece of paper away from Zhang Huishan's head. But even this insignificant distance seemed like a world away, which made Amo Rendi's almost Taoist martial arts useless. The expressions of Amo Rendi and Yulin changed. After the circle of ripples rippled out, countless scarlet words even appeared densely on it. English. No pass. No pass. No pass. They were so densely packed that they directly confused Amo Rendi's face. Amo Rendi silently put away his fists. At the same time, he slowly typed a question mark. He seemed to find that the first half of the text seemed familiar, as if he had seen it somewhere. The other side. Yulin found that she was also enveloped in a faint red light. The red light was like thick blood, giving people an ominous feeling. After using the card, Zhang Huishan ignored everyone except Yulin, including Amo Rendi, who was staring at his fist in a daze behind him. Originally, I didn't want to choose you as the target of the duel, but as expected, even if you have 80% of the attributes of the team leader, it will be difficult to compete with this monster, he 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 he. After speaking, Zhang Huishan raised his head. A touch of loneliness appeared on that beautiful face. It's a pity that I can't have a cigarette, but maybe it would be nice to have a cigarette afterwards. Yulin. Suddenly. Just as Zhang Huishan finished speaking, a circular barrier started from a small point and spread rapidly, centered on the scarlet chain linking the two people. Wherever the barrier passed, everything stood still, the sky and the earth changed color, and everything in front of Yulin, except Zhang Huishan, lost all color in the blink of an eye, turning into complete black and white. The sky is pale, the earth is black, there are no stars or moon. He is obviously still on the top of the goddess tower made of reinforced glass, but after the barrier spreads, everything around him, the world in front of him, has become a completely unfamiliar attitude. Amo Rendi, Oda Wu, Zhao Yulong lying on the floor, the seriously injured Suzayasu, and Li Erpang, all seemed to be completely wiped out by the space in front of them at the moment when the sky and the earth changed color. They were completely wiped out from the eyes of Yulin and Zhang Huishan. Disappear. This is. Yulin's pupils narrowed. The surrounding scenery is both strange and familiar. He has recognized the world. At the same time, in the ears of Yulin and Zhang Huishan, a voice that sounded like electronic synthesis and emotionless sounded at the same time. It was vast and ruthless, as if it came from a high god. Welcome to Dual Space. Space number, D204. The top of the goddess tower. Ornamental layer. Not long after Amo Rendi put away his fist, Yilin and Zhang Huishan mysteriously disappeared in front of everyone. What the hell? After Li Erpang settled Suzayasu and asked Brother Su to lie down, Li Erpang jumped up again with a murderous expression on his face. What the hell is that, Zhang Huishan? Look at Fatty, I won't kill her. Oda Mai silently put away the knife. None of them received a notification that the mission was completed. In other words, Zhang Huishan is not dead. So don't be careless. Although the skill of invisibility is rare and enviable, it does not exist. Li Erpang looked around. Huh? Why is that boy missing too? Just when Li Erpang was carefully searching for traces of Zhang Huishan, he was also looking to see if Yilin was dead. Not long ago, Zhao Yulong, who was unlucky enough to be hit by 2 disaster-ridden shots and accidentally fainted, suddenly bounced up from the ground. Ouch! Zhao Yulong touched the back of his head, his face wrinkled into the shape of constipation. It hurts me so much. Is that little girl dead? Let go of Zhang Huishan and let me do it. Amo Rendi. Li Erpang. Suzayasu. Oda Mai. Amo Rendi raised his eyebrows. At this moment, he seemed to understand something. Instead, he didn't say much. He stood with his hands behind his back, closed his eyes, and remained as still as a stone statue. More like waiting. Wait for a certain result. When Zhao Yulong saw this, his eyes rolled a few times. After looking around, he roughly understood what was going on. It seemed that something had changed here after he passed out. But judging from Amo Renni's attitude, it seems that the matter has not been completely resolved. Where is Yilin? Although Zhao Yulong was surprised, he didn't dare to ask any more questions. Maybe some kind of prop? The experienced Zhao Yulong instantly thought of such a possibility. Ouch! Zhao Yulong felt another stab of pain on the back of his head. As he spoke, he rubbed his swollen scalp and couldn't help cursing. Why is that little bitch's skill so cruel? This is a force control skill. He rubbed it again. Zhao Yulong opened his palm and saw a large bunch of hair that had been rubbed off. Under the goddess tower, a terrifying golden light pillar shot into the sky. Everyone's eyes widened. The bandage man, said that I would overwhelm all enemies. Wow, Kaka. A black figure, with bright light effects, a body shaped like the wind, and special effects like a dragon, shuttled among a large group of apostles. On the chest of that figure, there was a big bat symbol, which flickered on and off like a neon breathing light, which was very impressive. Ha 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 ha. Li Chang'e was extremely proud now. He had no idea that 2 of the effects of the suit, blunt weapon damage absorption and sharp weapon damage reduction, were so awesome. Dong 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 dong. In the apostle army, a large number of attacks fell on him. Li Chang'e covered his mouth and nose exposed under the mask with both arms, feeling the pain and itching coming from outside the suit, and took the time to open the apostle panel and take a look. Health points are slowly decreasing. But not important. This little life value is completely affordable. The mighty Tianlong. No one noticed that Li Chang'e was now full of emotions, and the corners of his mouth turned up in an evil arc, like the legendary god of war with a crooked mouth, awe-inspiring. The extremely realistic Golden Dragon special effects are extremely terrifying. No matter who it is, they clearly know that this is a special effect, but they can't help but be startled when the special effects fall in front of them very suddenly. It's like watching a thriller movie. Even though they know it's fake, there are always people who will be scared to death by the plot in the movie. The Golden Dragon special effects shuttled all the way, and everyone was scared to retreat. When they reacted, Li Chang'e used the power of the Golden Dragon to hit everyone in front with angry small hammers. There were enemies all around. Li Chang'e didn't need to distinguish between ourselves and the enemy at all, and he punched randomly. That's it? Epic level equipment is indeed epic level equipment. In Li Chang'e's opinion, this is simply perfect equipment. Not only does the cool and handsome appearance of the equipment provide Li Chang'e with a sufficient sense of immersion, but it also integrates offense and defense, and has a 30% increase in ability and agility. Apart from the insignificant equipment restrictions, there are almost no shortcomings. The boss is indeed a boss. No things like a god. It is indeed a life-saving tip. This tip can not only save your life by sneaking away, but Li Chang'e, can also fight back. Counter-attack with full blood. Wakaka. Li Chang'e was smiling. Smiling very smugly. Fortunately, none of the remaining people are too perverted, otherwise Li Chang'e might not be able to resist for long with his attributes. The other apostles never expected that Li Chang'e would be so resistant to beatings after putting on a turtle shell. Someone originally wanted to snatch the box from Li Chang'e's back while Li Chang'e wasn't paying attention. But unfortunately, I don't know who tied the box. It was so compact that it was impossible to get started. You are so skilled at tying, Han Dan. Li Chang'e didn't notice. Use Batsuit change to resist surrounding attacks. One of the columns of numbers on the equipment attributes represents the row of numbers for durability. It is falling at a rapid speed. Fewer and fewer. Infinity Throne. Author, by Yi Xuexi. Chapter 160. In the Dual Space. Space number, D204. Yilin looked up at the sky. The expression is calm. He really didn't expect that Zhang Huishun would draw such an extremely rare card. Duel. Yilin was lucky to experience it once and survived. Did not expect. Yilin thought as she quickly distanced herself from Zhang Huishun. On his left wrist, he still wore a scarlet shackle, but it was completely weightless, as if it were an illusion. The chain connected to the shackle stretched into the void and then disappeared. The other end was on Zhang Huishun's remaining arm. But the connected part in the middle of the chain is hidden in space and cannot be observed by the naked eye. But Yilin knew that he and Zhang Huishun were closely connected by a force called rules, a close connection that could not be completely untied until one of them died. The pale and boundless sky was no longer the familiar night sky, but filled with the smell of desolation and corruption. In this most primitive dual space filled with black and white colors, Yilin raised her head and saw a red countdown in her eyes. 2959:40. Ever since Yilin and Zhang Huishun entered the space, this countdown had appeared silently in the dual space. Zhang Huishun smiled sinisterly. Although the cryogenic bomb just now did not take Zhang Huishun's life, after all, Zhang Huishun's attributes are extremely terrifying now. He could barely avoid the explosion range of the cryogenic bomb at the critical moment, but it left an arm behind. Under extremely low temperatures, even the flesh will be instantly frozen into brittle ice cubes, and continued frostbite will cause more serious damage to the body. Unexpectedly, Zhang Huishun would be so cruel to him and cut off his frostbitten arm. Originally, this was the trump card that Yilin planned to leave to the Laughing Bat, but she didn't expect that it would be used on Zhang Huishun today. It's fate. Call. Yilin sighed softly. He took out another card and slapped it on himself. Dynamic vision up. From the Riddler Easter egg. Zhang Huishun sneered, his nails swelled like sharp blades, and he rushed towards Yilin in an instant. The dynamic vision up buff only lasts for 10 minutes, but within these 10 minutes, it is enough for Yilin to deal with Zhang Huishun, whose attribute value has skyrocketed, in her current state. In addition, Yilin has released telekinesis without reservation. With double protection, Yilin can clearly feel Zhang Huishun's movements. In Yilin's eyes, Zhang Huishun's attack seemed to have been slowed down several times, and with the extended nails as the center, trajectory prediction lines spread out. The other end of the trajectory prediction lines spread out from Yilin's body. Vital points pass through. It was as if he was predicting the landing point of all Zhang Huishun's attacks. Yilin had already personally experienced the powerful effects of these buffs when traveling in Gotham, and was not surprised by the vision in front of her. Then Yulin's mind moved, and she quickly analyzed the possible landing points of all the prediction lines, and then placed the blood jasmine that reappeared in her hand in front of her. Actually, in Yulin's view, only a complete set of the Riddler's Easter egg series can be considered a complete set of buffs, and the degree of buffs is not weaker than the peak state of ghost energy in Gawu Mountain. But with only dynamic vision up, even if Yulin could barely see Zhang Huishun's attack trajectory, her body agility attribute could not keep up, and she would not have enough time to avoid those attacks, so Yulin could only find a way to block it. It is not impossible to see clearly and then be beaten to death. Seeing that Yulin could react, Zhang Huishun's eyes flashed with surprise, but at the critical moment, she did not change direction and directly slapped Yulin's blood jasmine with her fingernail. Puff! Boom! Terrible power burst from the blood jasmine, and Yulin opened her mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood. The hot red color looked extremely dazzling in this world of black and white. Boom! Blood jasmine also cut into Zhang Huishun's sharp nails at the same time, but she didn't seem to be surprised at all and directly pressed Yulin down with terrifying force. Wow! Under the feet of Yulin and Zhang Huishun, the glass seemed to have turned into fragile glass. Along with countless cracks, the entire viewing layer in the dual space suddenly shattered. Immediately afterwards, Zhang Huishun had no intention of stopping. The two of them were like cannonballs, falling layer by layer from between the interlaced steel bars in the center of the goddess tower. Yulin's back also hit all the steel bars layer by layer, wherever they passed. Black debris scattered into the sky. In mid-air, Yulin was vomiting blood, her eyes were cold, and she activated Shui Jasmine's form change without hesitation. In an instant, as the spiritual energy value was consumed again, the blood jasmine turned into countless blood threads, strangled towards Zhang Huishun along Zhang Huishun's shimmering nails, like hair. Zhang Huishun's pupils shrank and his bloodshot eyes were extremely fast, but Zhang Huishun's speed was even faster. Before countless bloodshot eyes were about to strangle him, he chuckled and kicked Yulin's chest directly with his white and tender feet. Leaping lightly into the sky. Boom! Finally, Yulin fell to the ground. The huge goddess tower was suddenly shattered by Yulin's flesh and blood body, split in half from the middle. The goddess tower, which was originally standing tall, became extremely fragile in this weird space. In the blink of an eye, it became black and white fragments all over the sky, like petals, floating on the two people. Cough, cough, cough. The brief confrontation was full of mystery and danger. The dark ground was cold and without any warmth. But Yulin quickly got up. After taking a look at the Apostles' panel, he saw that his health had almost bottomed out, but under the influence of the Dionysian factor, it quickly repaired and returned to health. The wounds on the body surface squirm and regenerate quickly at a speed visible to the naked eye. Yulin raised her head. The Tower of the Goddess no longer exists. To be precise, it should be the Goddess Tower in the dual space. This space does not exist in the real world. It's not so much a space, but it feels more like directly copying and pasting the scenery in reality to Yulin to form a brand new stage. In the dual space, various physical laws in reality are completely ignored, greatly weakening the collision damage in all scenes. In other words, Yulin seemed to split the goddess tower in half with her back, but in fact it was just the effect of the scene being destroyed, and there was not much real damage. Even with Yulin's current attributes, she would definitely not die if she jumped from the goddess tower. At most, her feet would be slightly numb. In the dual space, whether it is the passage of time, space, or physical laws, everything is completely different from reality. As its name. Dual. That's the main theme here. Everything in the dual space seems to exist to make this dual more exciting. This world. There was silence. Yulin and Zhang Huishun walked toward each other. Behind them and above them, snow-like debris formed after the goddess tower collapsed was flying all over the sky, like a curtain of snow. This forms an extremely poignant background image. Zhang Huishun looked at Yilin and suddenly smiled. While you still have time, aren't you going to tell me how you found out? Yilin restored the blood jasmine to its original shape. He took a look at the consumption of spiritual energy. It seems that the old man is also recovering his spiritual energy. He. Yilin smiled, with some unexplainable meaning. Your question refers to, when did I find out that you were Zhang Huishun? Or, when did I find out that you were a smuggled out bird, undead? In an instant, Zhang Huishun's face suddenly darkened. Those eyes seemed to have a faint green light, shining exceptionally in this black and white dual space. Looking from a distance, Zhang Huishun's expression became more and more twisted and weird, like an evil ghost from hell. But soon, Zhang Huishun's expression returned to calmness, and the muscles, skin, and hair on her body were quickly squirming, twisting, and reorganizing like a nest of insects. In just a moment, Zhang Huishun changed from a red-haired mixed-race beauty full of mature charm to another young and intellectual black-haired oriental face. That's the woman who appeared in the first video, Zhang Huishun. So, you even guessed this. Zhang Huishun did not answer Yilin's initial question, but smiled and showed his true face. The story is a bit long. Where to start? Since the old Yanbi wanted to take advantage of the nonsense to recover his spiritual energy, Yilin didn't point out. Instead, he squinted his eyes slightly, followed the other person's wishes, and slowly told a short story. I'm not sure how many people you killed before Hating City. Let's start with the actual mission. When you were lurking around Laozhao as Angela, most of the guesses I mentioned should be clear to you, and I'm too lazy to repeat them. I guess what you're most confused about now is, since you have the ability to the completely disguised skill, where exactly is the flow revealed, right? That's what you said. Zhang Huishun smiled. Yilin chuckled. If I guessed correctly, you should have directed and acted the C-13 train in the first place, right? You just didn't expect that your self-directed and self-acted trick did not achieve the desired results. Instead, we imitated your whole show. After a round, the other apostles were lured out. So you simply used the trick and lurked aside. On the second night, you took advantage of the chaos to kill the red fox and disguised yourself as a red fox. You killed all her companions, although the body of the green snake was not found. But if I guessed correctly, the green snake should also be cold. I guess, you are afraid that the original companions of the red fox will rebel and expose the fact that Angela is dead. After all, they are very likely to have added friends to each other. Take a look at the communication list, this matter will be exposed. When Zhang Huishun heard this, he laughed and did not deny it. Yilin stretched out a finger. This is actually the first flaw that is not really a flaw, it can only be regarded as a doubt. Zhang Huishun. The next thing is, the little fat man understands the righteousness and takes the initiative to be a bait. He imitates the man on the C-13 train and makes the presence of the box so big. But why is it that no one in the entire Hating City finds out except besides the fat man? Are there other people carrying boxes?